So let's open it up for questions. And then let's wrap this bad boy up. So let me unmute everybody so that you guys can ask any questions you want to before we get started. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to ask any questions that you want. I will mute myself, and we'll give about 3 or 4 minutes for everybody to ask their questions if you have questions. So go ahead and ask them, and then after that, we're going to start the recording to wrap up the final phase of print on demand, which is going to be awesome. Last week, again, Nate did an amazing job, so I just have to.
Hey, don't get his head too big. Then he'll for sure not put up with me. He'll be like, you know what? I'm out of here.
Steven is like, stop patting him on the back. I don't like all of this. Stop celebrating Nate. Okay, all right, we'll stop.
We're saying happy birthday to him already. That's enough. You see, I didn't even give him his birthday off. He had to work.
That's because you love your brother. Okay, so if you have questions, you can type them in the chat. You can type them in the Facebook group. Let me go over to the Facebook group. Or you can unmute yourself and ask them. So let me go ahead.
We don't bite.
They don't bite. And they're here to help. They're here to bless. I never got an answer from Merch, but I did join Redbubble. All right, see? That's good. That's progress. And again, like they said in the second Merch training, there's a lot of stuff that you can be doing now, so that way, you know, when you finally do get approved, or if you start selling on other if you decide you're going to do print on demand, then you know, you've already started doing your keyword research. You've already started doing a bunch of different things. So go back and watch that second Merch training, because it was chock full of gold. Like seriously, it was chock full of money, and the money is waiting for you to come pick it up. So,
and the system that we showed in Merch is kind of what we do for everything. So even if it's not shirts that we're going after, we're still pulling keywords and information from doing cert research and then going out to other platforms where there's a lot less competition. And I think that's what Nathaniel was showing last week, was just, here's all the information that we use. This is our strategy. And now this is what we really bank on, is the consistency. And then here we have like a tiered system that we think about in-house. And then this is how you guys should be thinking about it. If you're just getting started, I think Merch is the best. It is a little bit hard to get a application to get in, but KDP is there, Redbubble is there, and there are a lot of other ones. I think you showed that slide with all those other.
Yeah, there's a ton of tier 1 print on demand platforms you could be on, and that idea of using it as assets. But I mean, that's all of what last week's call is on. So if you guys want that information, it's there.
Go back and watch that. Go back and watch that. Okay.
Oh, you put that on me, brother?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you before we do our official intro. Again, thank you to Nicole for letting us teach in here. This has been really helpful for us, kind of plotting out all this content and the way that we've laid it out here and cutting it and reusing this. So this has been extremely helpful for us, and we hope that you guys are getting value out of this information too. And like she said, we're in this group. We might not be following every single post, but if you guys tag us in something, you have access to all of our knowledge. We can take, you know, time out of our day to answer your guys' questions. If it's something super complicated, maybe we come and do another teaching or just do a video for you guys. We really love sharing this information that we have, because it's allowed us to do some pretty crazy things and opened up a lot of doors and opportunities for us. So we just want to share this with everybody else who will listen to us, basically, and hope that you guys can, you know, have some of the same success that we're having, and, you know, see some of the opportunities that are there once you are consistent with print on demand. So thank you, Nicole. Thank you, this group. You guys have been awesome in allowing us to come in here. So we appreciate you guys.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think why we are so passionate is because we have been doing this for a long time and have failed a lot. And we were kind of pushed out of our comfort zone a few years ago, and just by helping people and getting more in front of the camera and just seeing like lives being changed is very powerful to us. Being able to help somebody where they're struggling to make their car payment, they're behind in their rent or whatever the case may be, and then we can help them just to start making some extra money. That's super impactful to me. Just like, I feel like I've helped a lot of people throughout the years, but I don't ever do any kind of follow-up. But teaching online, there's people that come back to us and say, oh, this was so amazing. I was finally able to get over the hurdle. I was having troubles here, and you helped me push past this barrier. And just, again, I don't think we're gurus or anything like that, but we just have a lot of experience. And I love testing, trying, and failing. I know Nathaniel, it makes it hard sometimes for him to like continuously be next to me as I'm doing all this craziness. But at least if we can work together, and I think we've been able to do that more and better, especially after we started working together and more him just working under me. But just helping people is truly what I feel I am called to do. And I love working with my brother. This is another business that I think we could thrive in. Getting better at teaching, getting better at being in front of the camera. This is all stuff that's just come from putting in the work. So we have a green screen, things look better. It wasn't like that in the beginning. Just like starting off your POD journey, it might not be pretty to start, but getting started and just going through the process. And I think that's really what we're going to try to show tonight is just our POD journey, essentially, and then how we built a system and how we really truly want to help you guys build a system.
Yeah, a random plug, but also just a more encouragement for you guys. On our YouTube channel, it's me just like basically struggling to figure out the type of content that I should be putting out there. So if you're like me and you enjoy seeing kind of the process of someone getting better at something, that's what I'm trying to do with our YouTube channel right now, to know like what type of content to go there. And I always appreciate just like the process. So even going back and like binge watching all my old videos so I can like get better at it and make mental notes and those things. If you like seeing that stuff and you want more print on demand content, our YouTube channel is there. It's just Wingman University over there. But just I made a video today, so it's fresh in my mind, but it's just like, this is such a struggle. Like this is kind of the same feeling that I had when starting print on demand. It's like, I don't really want to do this. I don't know what's going to come of this, but I think if I'm just consistent in it and I try to get better at it, even though that's not bringing in like a ton of money or, you know, it's not something that super excites me, but I know being consistent in that, there's going to be doors that open and it's going to help people. So, you know, just that process is happening currently where I'm showing everybody over on YouTube. So if you find that interesting, it is there for you.
Yeah, I guess I just want to say one more thing to help inspire people with this like getting started mentality. It is a grind to start and like be consistent, but know that if you put in the time and you get better at it, you will start seeing success and those opportunities will start opening up to you. It's, I don't know, it's weird now after 15 years of doing this that it's happened like almost the same way every time. And it's, I think that's why me and Nathaniel just enjoy the process, because we understand like if you put in the time and the work, the opportunities does show up. It doesn't ever happen when you want it to happen, but they do eventually come. And that's a testament to us being here in this group. Like we weren't good at presenting in the beginning. It was real bad. It looked like we were two homeless people talking about something we had no idea what we were talking about. And now we polished up, we got a lot better. We did a lot more speaking engagements. And now people like Nicole see us and they go, hey, do you want to be a part of XYZ? Those opportunities are there only because we put in the work and just always are looking at things and how can we do them better. But I just, all that to stress, this is a process. Keep at it. That's what we are here for, is to help you guys. That's why we truly love to be able to like have the Wingman monogram as we come alongside you. We don't necessarily want to run your business, but we want to, anytime you need help, be there right on your six to kind of help you, guide you through whatever your journey is or your path that you're taking to find success. All right, I feel like that's
a whole lot.
That's good. Yeah.
We got a lot of content coming still, so let's go ahead and start this thing.
All right, let me share a screen and then we can turn off our cameras.
Cool.
All right, tonight we're going to recap what Nathaniel talked about last week, and then we're going to dive into the topic of just continuing on being consistent and building a system. Give me a second. Sorry, this is not working. This is working. Okay. All right, brother, hit him.
Hit me with that first slide. So to recap what we talked about last week, we talked about this idea that print on demand is more than just merch by Amazon. We did two long segments talk about merch by Amazon, but it's definitely more than that. And so this first slide kind of showed the idea that we can take the same keywords and designs that we're putting on products and not just put them on Amazon, but actually put them on multiple platforms and marketplaces, which is a unique idea, but helps us because we are actually building assets. And so if we start thinking about, those designs and keywords as, something that we put in this box and it is an asset, then we can start using that not only on different platforms, but also different products. So that's a really powerful way to, start thinking so you can start scaling up your business. And a very important part of knowing how to scale a print-on-demand business is actually understanding the different types of print-on-demand platforms that are out there. And we kind of had this tier system that we talked through, the tier 1 where you're starting, tier 2 print-on-demand platforms where you're expanding, and then the tier 3 where you're really starting a business, which comes with, you know, high risk but also high reward. Then we moved into the consistency thing. I think I said this probably like 200 times in that presentation. But this is something that's been, you know, kind of put on my heart and is super important to understand when you're starting this type of business, you know, why consistency is important. And, you know, while we don't have to replenish any of the items that we're putting up, they still have a life cycle. So just setting that stuff up and forgetting it and think you can walk away, you know, it's not going to cost you any money, but I think you are missing out on some opportunities. So being consistent, you know, I had a ton of reasons why that's important, but it is something that I truly believe is the most impactful thing for a print-on-demand business. And then we talked about the multiple paths to consistency, the two that I suggested, you know, that I think are very impactful and that I've seen others use to actually, you know, be consistent in this business. And it is more of like a mental game kind of at that point, finding either do you want to go after customers? Is that what, you know, makes you want to do this business more? Or is it going after a certain platform that excites you because of the products or whatever that is there? And then the last thing we left you guys with was this action plan. For 1 month, we wanted you guys to build 100 assets and just stay focused, you know, on one platform or on the customers, and not try to do it all. And breaking that down, you know, that 100 assets in a month to 25 a week or 5 a day if you're only working 5 days a week, you know, hopefully to not feel so overwhelming. But that left us on this idea of systems. And so tonight we're going to be really expanding on that and talk about building a system. So to break down the presentation of what we're about to see, we're going to show off our process and, you know, a little bit of story along with that, but it shows how you can build your system. And Stephen's going to define those 2 words in just a second. But hopefully once you have a system in place, if you're like us, you can start outsourcing. And that's really our, you know, end game there is we want to outsource a lot of what we are doing so we get our time back, but yet we have this system in place that we know is going to continuously find us success.
I almost want to just have you run the rest of this.
I got my flow from last week. I'm all ready.
You finally like slowed down. I'm like, wow, he sounds good. I don't even need to be here. All right, so tonight, these are the 2 main topics that we're going to be talking about, is this process and system. So I kind of see them 2 parts of the coin. The process to me is just a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a goal or find success. And then the system is a set of things working together as part of a machine. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this just so you can kind of see my perception on this. And a process to me is just the path to your success. The very first presentation that we did, we kind of really broke this down and showed where I came from, then how me and Nathaniel started working together, and then just kind of our process of being able to work together and find success in the selling all things not nailed down and then finding POD. Tonight, we're going to go a little bit more into just zoning in or honing in on the POD process that we took, telling our story, kind of breaking down the process and the system together so you can see kind of how we think of it. And I think that what helps us not get like overwhelmed at any point. The process we understand is just a path. And this is the perception versus reality part. Most people think success is like you start here, you end at a point, it's a constant growing thing. This is what a lot of people think the process looks like. And I can tell you it looks like this. At least it does for us. Almost everything that we do, like Nathaniel just talked about, the YouTube channel, it is something that we are learning. We've done a lot of videos, but not on that platform. We thought, oh, for sure, we've done videos. We know exactly what we're doing. And it just immediately turned into a crazy mess. I left, then Nathaniel left, and then we were moving. It was just life happens, things happen, you run into problems. That is the path to success. This, like what it says, what people think it is, and then what the reality is. So I just want to take a second here and just, if anybody is trying to do this and you're running into problems, just know that that's part of the process. The more problems that you overcome, the easier everything else gets down the line. At least that's what I found. That's why I love taking action immediately and then running into a problem almost as soon as I start, so I can get over those hurdles and just keep that bigger picture in mind. I kind of know where I'm going, but I know that the process is a journey for sure. So going back to systems, I see the system as the engine to your business. There's a lot of different moving parts in the system. As you go through the process, you will find what works best for you, and then you'll be able to build your own engine or your own system. Again, we're going to show our process and then how we kind of built our system. And everybody's system is different. I have pictures here of different types of engines. You can see the opposed, the inline, the V, and that rotary engine. We have built a very specific system that works for us that I think is very different than anybody else's system. But there are some key principles to every business. Like you need income coming in, you need to be doing something with POD. It's kind of the two parts of the business, which is art and design. You need to be able to do that somewhere on some platform. Everybody's business, everybody's system, I think is going to look a little different, but they all should still hit the same beats. So just like these engines, everything has a combustion, a spark. There's certain rules to every system to be able to find success with them. And that's what we are trying to teach you, is just like the major points in a system that you need to have to be able to hand it off and then build a better system so you don't have to work on your business all the time. So every engine needs fuel. This is kind of the driving force. This is something that we struggle with helping people on. I think we're getting better at motivating and just breaking things down and making them actionable steps. But something that we have truly found to help us has actually come from a really good friend of ours, Joy Packard.
Joy Packard. Joy brought us this interesting question that I think stopped me and Stephen in our tracks, because it came at a point where we were in the thick of the business. If that we were looking at that line that Stephen showed again, we were like, in the swirly part of that, just trying to figure things out and being frustrated and not knowing why we were doing this. But she asked us this question of, what is your why? So at face value, that might seem a little simple, but really it's to explain, or it's to show you like what's going to keep you motivated. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you choosing to struggle when you could just be relaxing at home instead of staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning trying to figure out POD? Like, why are you trying to do something different? Why aren't you just staying with what you know and what you were doing before? So anytime you start asking yourself those questions, we have this idea of what is our why, what's going to keep us motivated through those hard times and keep pushing forward. And so our whys are, well, I'll let Stephen share his why first.
Well, I was going to say, this is kind of the thing that I think helped me. I think it was, we talked about it the very first time, that Thanksgiving, that kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a very trying time, and I did just want to give up and go back to what I knew, which was just going to stores, buying stuff and reselling it. Even though I didn't truly like that, and just making a decision of okay, what am I doing this for? And that's when I went to an event. That's when I heard Joy speak. It was like the perfect timing for everything. And then I remember coming back and talking to Nathaniel about this. And then we even watched the replay, and it was very powerful to us. And then I think as soon as you have that strong why, it keeps you motivated. Like, there is no hurdle or wall that you run into that you can't break through if you have a strong enough why. And my why is definitely my wife. She has been an amazing addition to my life. We are true partners in crime. We do almost everything together. She was helping with the business that was working, and she enjoyed it. But I think she, like everybody else, just kind of got burnt out. And then she found something that she truly enjoyed, which I think makes it a little bit easier, so that when we do this, go on vacation, this is actually from the trip that we just took, have a blast and just be able to spend time with each other. I know there's a lot of other people that have been married for a long time and they can't stand each other. That is not the case with me and my wife. We've been married for almost 10 years, and I love her even more the very first time I married her. Or the first time I married her, not the very first time.
And my why isn't quite as romantic as Stephen. I'm not married yet.
You are married to the road. You are married to that car. Well, maybe not now. You actually moved into a place.
Yeah, so the last 2 years of my life, my why has definitely been just traveling and doing this crazy road trip that I've been on. I've gone to 44 different states, including Alaska, and went to Mexico and through Canada, and all these places that I always dreamt of going, kind of in high school. I actually got to do all of that the last 2 years, and really this has been my why, like just being able to pack up my car from wherever I'm at and go explore all these awesome places. This picture is from the Grand Canyon, or sorry, not the Grand Canyon. This picture is from the Rocky Mountains in Colorado.
I was going to say, I haven't traveled that much, but
I still got the Grand Canyon on my mind. I did just go there. So all of these fantastic places, all the national parks that I've been, waking up and just realizing that I can just go and I can travel. I'm not tied down to one spot. And it's because I've found consistency in this business. It's because, we put the time and effort and energy, blood, sweat, and tears. All of those things have gone into this business, but it allows me to do what I love to do, which is travel. And so that's been my why. Anytime I'm like starting to question myself, where I'm thinking about, now that I just moved to Atlanta, should I get a job? And then I'm like, ugh, but then I can't just go see Steven when I want. I can't just go here when I want. So that does keep me, moving and pushing forward, even though sometimes I want to like build a community somewhere. So, moving to Atlanta has been an interesting venture the last couple of weeks. But I still do love this internet business. It's still providing, for us, and it's opening up doors, left, right, and center, that it's just really hard, to now step away from anything like that, because, this why is so compelling for me to keep moving forward and keep that, motivation behind me.
So this is our process. This was 8 months, 12-hour days. This is when Nathaniel was living with me. We had offices, or one office on our desk. We're pretty much
I wish we had offices.
Yes. And I, at times, would turn off the AC in the summer in Florida, just make it a sweatbox so I could like really concentrate and focus and take away all the comforts so that we could stay focused. And I think it helped push us to find success, especially when things were just difficult. There was a lot of outside life things going on. We had a hurricane hit us. We had the roof leaking and power surges and sewage backing up. It was a crazy time for us, but just being able to push through all of that to be able to find success. And I have this picture. It's almost like the very first one that we showed, but it's more of the life cycle that we truly went through. It started off, it was super exciting. Nathaniel was having some success. Then we ran into some problems, and it went up and down and up and down and up and down. It was a crazy ride, to the point where we're at now, where it's like, now we have a system. We've been able to hand this business off, and we've been able to do additional things like teach, which is something that we never would have thought we would have been doing in a million years. But just, that's why I said, like, staying the course, being consistent, those opportunities present themselves. And it is an amazing thing. And it's something that we've seen over and over and over. And the more people that we help, it's just very interesting to see how their journey goes. And they have the same kind of hookups that a lot of people have. They start with having a problem with the keywords, and they have a problem with the art, and then we help them with that. And then they kind of get into their own rhythm and find something that works for them. And that's why I say, okay, now you've built a system. Now find ways to hand that system off by outsourcing it, and then actually build a business. And that's what's very exciting for me. I think that's why we love just teaching people like the getting started, so that we can start walking with them to find success and actually growing a business.
Yeah, it may be that way now, but it definitely was not that way when we started.
This picture of the guy's face is like priceless. I think
yeah, the more and more I look at this picture, the more and more I fall in love with it, because it is so true. This is me at the start of this business. I kind of started this print-on-demand venture by myself. It wasn't something that Steven was interested in or really had the time for. And so this was definitely me just, pulling back that arrow, or as far as I could, letting it go and just never hitting the target. So this is a very good example of that. And so I was just trying a lot of things when I got into print on demand. I was trying to look at, the best-selling shirts, and I was trying to, do what everyone was suggesting to do, but I just wasn't having the type of success, or really any success with that. But for whatever reason, before I understood this concept of what is your why, I just didn't want to give up. I think I saw kind of the future that I'm lucky enough to have realized, but I saw the future of what this could mean for me as a graphic designer. Like, I could just not have to go to, this one building and do this job on a computer. I always thought that was a little silly. I always was like, if I'm working online, why can't I do this from anywhere? And so I really wanted print on demand to work out. And so I just kept putting in the effort. And so one day when I was actually riding my bike to that building that I wasn't very fond of, that's not true. I liked my job, but I'm happier now that I get to travel.
I was going to say, I thought like you had a really good relationship with them.
No, I did. I
and you still do. Yeah.
But I'm much happier.
You were trying to add in some dramatic effects to that story.
I couldn't even lie. So I was riding my bike to work one day. And this was like at the beginning of trying to figure out print on demand and merch by Amazon specifically. And I just, was getting frustrated that everything that I was trying wasn't bringing success. And this is probably after like a month of trying or so. And so I had this idea while I was riding my bike that I was seeing other people, riding their bike to work as well. And I was like, man, I wonder if I just designed something that I personally would like and tried to sell it to, other people that are doing the same thing as me, which is riding their bike to work on this very specific trail, like in Florida, if that would be something that I could like show to people locally and have some success that way, because I didn't understand, the traditional way of selling or the organic search. That's the word I'm looking for. I didn't understand how to get into that organic search stream. So I was like, I'll just do this thing locally, like learn sales a little bit. So I went home, I designed this shirt, and I put it up one morning before work. And then when I came home that same day, I actually had sales on this shirt that was, specifically made for this path in Florida that I would ride my bike to work on. And so that was just like, it completely surprised me that something like that worked, because I had a completely different thought pattern of what I was doing when I was making that shirt. Instead of trying to design what everybody else was, I was like, okay, let me make something unique that I personally would like for, people that I know actually exist. But that energized me to really put the effort into print on demand. So even though I didn't fully understand what I was doing or why it even worked, I just knew that I had to keep on trying. I had to keep, pulling that bow back and letting it rip and see if I could, eventually hit the target.
So we are telling our story, and I'm glad that Nathaniel tells it in that methodical way. It is kind of, everybody starts at a different point, but it is that process of like trying, nothing really seems to work. Then one of these ideas that you have really takes off and works. And I think that's the point where we like to get people, is like finding that first bit of success and just doing something. We kind of see that as like your first checkpoint in building a system. So as soon as you start having some success, this is now your system. So this is how it started. Nathaniel was doing art and making the listing, and then he found success in that. And because he started this, which I think is like a way backwards way of doing it, he thought about the customer first and then was able to build something for that customer. His initial idea was to sell it locally, but it ended up working online, surprising him and me. But after he showed that to me, and the speed at which he put that listing up and had it selling just like blew me away. Because at the time I was really heavily focused on private label, and the fastest I was able to get anything from any manufacturer and bet it back into Amazon was like a month. And I thought, oh man, if I could do this every month, I'd be crushing it. But then Nathaniel showed me that he did that in less than 24 hours. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. We got to figure out a way to work together in this, because it was just fascinating to me. All the energy and effort that I was putting in, and then just seeing Nathaniel, he was putting a lot of time and energy into it, but it wasn't the same kind of work that I was doing. I was doing a ton of research, and then he was just kind of doing what he loved, which was the creating and designing. I like doing the research, but I didn't like calling the manufacturers. There was a lot of the parts of the business that I just did not like in doing the private label, OA, RA, wholesale, all that stuff. And I was like, this would be perfect. If we could do this where I do the research, or at least if I do the keyword side of the business and you did the art, like then we could actually put up products. And then how many products can we put up in a day? It was like a very interesting conversation that we had, and we started really working together. Nathaniel was doing the art to start, and then handing me a piece of art, and I was trying to do keywords from that. It was extremely time consuming, because he would spend almost all day making one design. And then by the time he handed it to me, I had so much other work to do that I wasn't getting to it right away. It'd be a few days, then I'd finally look at it. I'd look at a few of his shirts and then kind of pull some keywords together. It was very difficult for me. I've never in my 15 years of doing research ever looked at a picture and then tried to make or pull keywords out of that. Like there were always products, and then there was like certain keywords that I could start with to then do the research, but pulling a keyword out of an image was extremely difficult for me, and it was just very time consuming. Then by the time everything got together and the day I was making a listing, it was just extremely slow and inefficient. So this is how we started. It was art with Nathaniel, and then the listing, and then this is where it got a little bit better. This is where we say it got good. Nathaniel was still doing the art, then he was handing it to me for the keywords. Then we were making the listings. We were having some success, so that's why it's another system checkpoint, but this still wasn't that great. There was a lot of inefficiencies. I was getting extremely frustrated because I was like, hey, we had that success, like that overnight success. Like, how is this taking so long? Like, you had an idea and then you got it up in 24 hours. This still feels like it's taking 2 or 3 weeks to get these listings up. Like, it's the listing process is so quick. There has to be a better way to do this.
Yeah, just to pause there, what you just said is actually kind of funny to me. Like, this was when you were frustrated because you were having to do something you'd never done, which was pull keywords from art. And this is probably where I was like, not the happiest, but I was much happier this way than, you know, when I first started, when it was just me doing everything and kind of feeling lost. And then this, you know, where it got good, I was able to do art and just kind of like stack it on Steven's desk and be like, okay, like I need you to get to this, whatever. But it just allowed me to do like the creative side of the business. So I was just like as happy as could be because I was just doing, you know, as much art as I could possibly do and then waiting for Steven to give me the keywords. And while it was inefficient, you know, it was way better than what I was doing before because I just didn't like keywords, and I still don't really like keywords. I understand they're extremely necessary. They're an extremely important part of print on demand, but I felt like it was kind of a waste for me to learn something that Steven already had such a deep understanding of.
Yeah, I think another thing that I was thinking about is just like this needs to be turned into a system. And I came back to the slide because this system check was just to like identify that there's 2 parts of what we're trying to do here. The system is what we're actually doing in the business, and then the process, which is this, is like what was happening behind the scenes. So when we showed the second week, like this is our system, this is our process, this is how we show you guys how to use our Wingman 5-step test, this is kind of how we built it. And I just want to show that this takes time. A lot of this is just time, energy, and effort. It's not like you start with something and you go, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do and do that, and it works out flawlessly. This is the process to building a system. So at this point, we had something that was working, but it was just very problematic. So I went to solving a lot of these problems. This is, I think, where most of our time was spent together. I mean, there's another part of our story where it's most of my time is spent, but this is where we had a lot of conversations. I was just trying to figure out like where Nathaniel was getting these ideas from to make the art. How was he getting inspired to do that? What keywords could I possibly get from him to do some research? And just finding out like it's never going to be a good system that we can hand off if it's constantly like coming from your brain, where it's just like, oh, I had this idea, I was riding to work and I saw a flower. It's like, that is too wishy-washy. We need to find a way to like systematically do this so that we can build a system out of this and then hand it off to people. So from having a ton of conversations and just realizing like starting with art is probably not a, well, I was just starting with Nathaniel. That was really the problem. Like I couldn't let Nathaniel start the process because it was always going to be wishy-washy. Like I needed to kind of take control of that and go, okay, we need a systematic way of doing this. And I think starting with the keywords is a much more efficient way of doing this. And this is where I have this picture where we just like jumped over the maze of what was our process before, where it was all over the place. That I was just like, okay, how do we streamline this? This is how we do it. I'll do the keywords, then I can hand it to you. Then you can take however long you want. I think you should be able to knock these out a lot per day. But if you want to spend all day on it, I don't want to be a part of that process. I'll just give you all this information and be able to put it on your plate. And then whenever you want to make the designs and make the listings, that's fine. But it took a lot of frustration and stress away from me. And then I even found a way to pull the keywords that I was already gathering through OA, RA, and everything else, and then just give him those keywords. And then he could kind of cherry pick on what he wanted to do and then find some creativity or inspiration and then make designs that way.
Yeah, and so again, going back to kind of the visual aid that we have here to show, this is when things got better. And so I'll talk about this first. Stephen started with the keywords and then was handing it off to me to do the art and the listing. But to echo what I said on the last system check that we did, you know, I wasn't as happy here because it was kind of pinholing me to do certain types of art. Now, we clearly saw that this was much better for our system, because it was a much more effective way of actually going after the customers and getting organic traffic and organic sales and things like that. But I had to kind of deal with, are we building the business to be more streamlined and to be better, or am I like just strictly going off of like what I personally want to do? And so that was kind of the turning point in our business, and that's kind of the point I wanted to make with talking about my happiness at all, because I just thought it was funny that Steven said, when things were good, he was unhappy, but when things got better, I wouldn't say I was unhappy, but it just wasn't the way I was used to creating work or art, and it kind of felt like my job, and it felt like work, where someone was telling me, hey, this is the exact thing you have to design, like now go do that and then make the listing afterwards. But it was for the better of our business, so I just thought that was an interesting side note to make.
Yeah, I guess this is another point to stop on and just say that when you're building your system, it's never going to be flawless. You just have to keep working at it. And like Nathaniel said, I was unhappy because it feels like a business. We were having those conversations and just trying to figure out like, okay, how can we do this better? What is part of the business that you don't like to do? And let's figure out how to problem solve that. Just like going from good to better, we're just constantly problem solving. And that's really what I want to show you through this process. It wasn't like we had the grand idea and we figured it out from the get-go and we're like, oh, this is the goal that we're ultimately going to hit. We had an idea. Nathaniel wanted to travel a lot more. He wanted to get away from his job so that he was putting more effort into this POD business. But there was not like a path that he picked. He just was putting in the time, energy, and effort to be able to figure out something that we could build a system from. So this is, I think, the hardest part for me. We had a working system, but it was still a lot of problem solving. Nathaniel wasn't that happy. I thought it was really easy for me to just give him all the keywords, but having a lot of conversations, just finding out like it's hard for him to do the same thing I was doing, but in reverse. Picking a keyword and then trying to design from that was hard for him to like figure out what designs to make or what he should be looking at. So this was where it just was like a ton of time of me going, okay, how do I put this in front of Nathaniel? Is this something that you can use? Okay, how about these keywords? How about if I give you like this set of keywords? What if I give you, just giving him a lot of information to look at and just having a ton of conversation. At the same time, I was tracking almost all of our listings. I don't know of any tools that track merch listings. If there are, I would love to know them. So we were manually going through and finding where our listings were showing up, seeing if they were selling, see if they weren't selling. I had, I don't know, probably 100 Excel spreadsheets at this time, just like checking every data point that I could check and just finding patterns and everything that I was doing. This took me probably 4 or 5 of the 8 months was just this part of it, just like figuring out how we can really build a system. Where is the continuity? Where are the patterns? How can I really streamline a lot of this process and problem solve for both me and Nathaniel? How can we do this like a business instead of working in it, but work on it? And just from having those conversations with Nathaniel and looking at all of the data, this is really where I found the key. It was like, oh, these data points are always similar when we're having success. There's not like a go-to every time, but I have noticed like if I can search for it and it auto-completes, that's a really good data point. If I see less than this much competition, that's a really good data point. If we're putting shirts where other shirts are, that's a really good data point. It was just from poring over hundreds of spreadsheets, looking at the patterns that we were able to unlock this. And then when we started teaching other people and them having success, and then over the last 2 years helping hundreds of people, this is where we really like solidified this wingman 5-step test validation of this. Each step helps you make a better decision moving forward.
So our second to last system check, and you might be listening to all this and say, oh, this information is great, but what's this have to do like with my current situation? But this is just to show you guys, like Steven said, like this wasn't easy. This wasn't necessarily the most fun thing we've ever done. And it wasn't like overnight we figured out all this stuff. It was a long and tedious and, grinding process, but we were always learning and always looking at like how we could improve things. And that's when, Steven found the patterns that he was looking for, and we started calling those landing zones when something passed that 5-step test that we had. So that's what he started looking for, was the landing zones. Then he would move to like the actual keywords that we would put in the listing. He would hand all of that to me, and I'd be making art off of the landing zones using the keywords that he gave me in the listing. And that really did like streamlined everything that we were doing. So that was the best that me and Steven ever worked like side by side, where he was doing everything up front. You can see all that stuff in blue. And then I was doing everything on the back end. So there was no like waiting on each other. It was just Steven did, you know, a ton of work up front, and then I would try to catch up with him, because doing the art and the listing, which is a much slower process for me than him finding the landing zone and the keywords.
Yeah, I think this is where we finally had what I considered a working system. There wasn't a lot of problem solving. There was a few adjustments that we were making here and there, but as far as like having something that we could constantly go back to and work from, this was it. I was finding those landing zones, getting the keywords. That was something that I could actually hand to Nathaniel, and then he would be able to go, oh, this is what the customers are looking for. This makes it much easier to use my creativity to build products to be able to put in front of these customers, and then here are the keywords that these customers are using. And that was pretty much the whole second week when we talked about that. This is our Wingman 5-step test. That was the process that I learned from just looking at a ton of patterns. I put this picture here because this is an actual V10. This is kind of a rarer engine. There's not a ton of these. Most of the time it's a V8 or a V6, or a V10 is not something that's normally that common. And I just want to put that picture here because what me and Nathaniel do, I don't think is a common way of running a business. There's not normally two halves of a business that have 12 years or 15 years of experience doing their half of the business and running it together. But this engine works almost like every other engine. We are trying to show you this process, to show you all of our failing points and everything that we've been through, to give you the confidence to be able to go and build your own system. It won't necessarily look like our system, but using our failures as a guide, it should really speed up your time so you don't have to spend 8 months, 12-hour days in a 100+ degree temperature room, sweating, complaining, button heads. Like, all that stuff should be at least streamlined a little bit now that we have a validation process for you to follow. Also, if you don't have a brother that you do have to work for you, that's what we are here for. We love answering questions. A lot of those conversations that we were having are conversations that we now have with people that we help. That's why I think it's so much easier for us to just answer questions, because it's like, oh, we've talked about this in nauseum, me and Nathaniel back and forth. Now it's just, how can we tell these people where they're at, see what they're trying to do and the direction that they're trying to move, and just guide them and help them in their process to build their system.
One thing I want to guide you guys in is the next step, which is outsourcing. So immediately after we had a working system, we were making some decent money. We were looking at the bottlenecks in our business, and it was really me creating the art. And you know, I was much quicker than when it was taking me all day or even all week to make one design, but I just couldn't create art fast enough, you know, because of the limitations that I had. You know, with my own schedule and with my own way of like designing in those things. So
yeah, and this still, I just wanted to butt in, this still wasn't perfect. Even as we were outsourcing, it was still a lot of learning, because Nathaniel really started trying to work with artists. I don't know if you want to dive into that story a whole bunch, but that's almost how we started trying to outsource, is by finding other artists to work with.
And by artist, he meant my friends who are also designers.
Well, no, you were working with that guy in Europe, and you were working with some other people.
Yeah, no, I went to them after I realized that my friends were not who I wanted to work with. Yeah, so even in this process, I mean, this is easily an hour presentation in itself of just talking about, you know, hiring the first people that we worked with and how we ended up hiring the people that we have now. But this was, you know, we saw the bottleneck in our business. It was me with the art. And so we started, you know, brainstorming. And so my first thought, like I said, was my friends. Like, oh, I have other friends who are doing graphic design. Maybe we can get them to help us, but they just weren't as consistent as I was, because it wasn't their business. And, you know, they didn't really have the vision, and I wasn't willing to just, dump a bunch of money for them to like try and figure out what I was doing. So we, yeah, there's a lot of stories that go into our outsourcing journey. But what we ended on was actually hiring VAs. And so these are virtual assistants. And so again, this could be a 3-hour presentation on its own. Us learning how to work with VAs, and me specifically, it was a much different skill set that I had to use that I've never had to, develop before. I was no longer just creating designs, but I was learning how to communicate with someone kind of the ideas and thoughts in my head quickly and efficiently, efficiently so they could create the designs, and then I could tell them what they're doing, right or wrong. And it was just a very interesting process. And I just like, this picture of Michael Scott saying world's best boss. I think of myself as the world's best boss, but I know I do a lot of like quirky, silly things, even still to today, that my VAs probably are just rolling their eyes at. But, it all works okay together.
Yeah, I definitely think that picture hits home with both of us. It's a learning process. I wouldn't say we are the best boss, but it is a relationships that we've built with our VAs, and they now have really taken the business to the next level. Like, to have somebody being able to do the job for 12 hours or 8 hours a day, they're learning processes and becoming more efficient and figuring things out. And then they bring that to us and make us aware of that. As Nathaniel was talking last night, as I was on vacation, my VAs were messaging me about something that changed inside merch, and I had no idea what it was. But Nathaniel presenting last night showed something that merch changed, and I was like, oh, that's what they were talking about. Now you can preset and keep the presets. I had no idea what the VAs were talking about, but that's why I love working with the VAs. They'll point things out to you that you might not even be aware of, because they're working on your business day in and day out, so you can keep the vision and the 10,000 foot view in mind. So this is where we're currently at. I have a research team. Nathaniel has an art team, and then Nathaniel and his team handle the listings. It's, again, a quirky system. There's always some adjustments going to it. So it's not like we have a system and this is the perfect thing and this is where we're at and we never need to change it. There are still some small changes, but it's way easier now, where me and Nathaniel can actually have like a meeting in the morning and say, hey, this is what the VAs are working on. This is our problems. How are we going to solve this? Okay, let's try this. And then give the work to the team. And then they actually put it into action. And then they come back and say, hey, this worked, this didn't work. And then we can just look at our business daily or weekly or monthly. And I have to go, okay, Nathaniel, here's a new idea. Now we have to work on this for 12 hours. We can hand a lot of that off to other people.
I'm very glad those days are gone.
So now, after we showed you our process, we really want to help you guys build a system, at least have the mindset of how to build a system. And building a system takes time. It's definitely not easy. Why we wanted to tell you our process is because it was 8 months on just the POD business. We have other business that we've been doing. You saw our 15-year journey that was wrapped up in like 20 minutes, but really it was 15 years. So I just want to drive home the point that it takes time. It is not easy. There are sacrifices that you will have to make. You have to think about it and go, okay, just like me. I did not go on a cruise with my wife in the last 5 years because I was trying to build something. Now that me and my wife are in a position and we have a business set up and a system running that business, that we can go on vacation more. We just came back from a cruise. My wife is even thinking about taking time off next month, or I should say November. We might go on a cruise again. That is the position that we are in now, but only because we made a ton of sacrifices in the beginning to get us to where we're at. This is how Nathaniel can move about the place. He wants to go to Atlanta and live there for 6 months. Hey, no problem. Go for it. You want to leave for 2 months and go to Alaska? Hey, no problem. We put in the sacrifice to be able to do what we're doing now. And then there's just a ton of problem solving. This is why I love teaching, because I love helping people solve their problems. I have a very analytical brain. I like to hear what other people are struggling with, so I can try to come up with some like bigger picture idea to go, okay, most people are stuck here. They have a problem with art, they have a problem with keywords, they have a problem with time. How can I devise a plan or a system to help these people all get over this hurdle instead of individually helping every single person? Like, there has to be a way to kind of build something to help a majority of people. Yes, everybody will have different places where they're at. That's why we have this validation step, because we found that to help a lot of people get over the hurdle of being able to go, okay, I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but at least if I'm following these validation steps, I have a much better place to start from and then start testing instead of just guessing and throwing stuff up like how Nathaniel was doing in the beginning. So our system, or I guess I should say our suggestion for building your system, is to, one, take action. Nicole is not on the call currently, and she'll probably yell at me later about even mentioning her name, but this is for this group. Nicole, I'm positive, is constantly talking about take action. She's going to stores. She's showing you how to shop. That, I think, is the most important step to anything. I know there are a lot of people that feel like they have to have all their ducks in a row to be able to take any action. Nathaniel was like that in the beginning, but I think we both agree now, taking action is like the number one important step in building a system or even moving forward to find success. Do you disagree, brother? I know you
No,
think
I was going to
consistency
try
is
and
like...
wrap the idea up, but it's not easy to take action. We say that, and it's not easy to just even know what the first step could be. And so that's what we want to help you guys with. I mean, we've showed in the past presentations of where you can start and things you could be working on, but we understand that, it can feel overwhelming. So again, just to echo Stephen, we are in this group. We're here for you guys. We want to make sure that, if you're just like, okay, I want to take action, I've set a card at this time, but I'm not even sure what the first thing I should be doing is. I mean, those are the things that we can help you brainstorm and help you figure out where the first step for you is. So
yeah, if you're not getting an account to merch, there is KDP, there is Redbubble, there is all the stuff that Nathaniel talked about. There is other options, so you don't.
And
have
that's
to feel
just
stuck.
the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
We've got a lot more, information and problems that we've solved for ourselves that we want to share with you guys as well.
So step 2 is to be consistent. After you take action, being consistent is really what helps you be able to find how to be efficient. And then step 3 is assess. You need to be able to look and see what's working, what's not working. And then outsourcing is what we suggest as the step 4 of building a system. So building a system, step 1, just start. We suggest merch, but it's not the only place to start. You should be able to make a plan. Nathaniel had a plan of traveling, something to help you get started, to help motivate you. Think about your why, make a plan, set a goal, and then take action. Nathaniel just did break down a little bit of what I was going to talk about here, so he stole my thunder a little bit. But we understand that taking action is not always that simple. Saying it 100 times is not going to make it any easier for you guys, but we are here. You're in this community for a reason. Ask the people around you. This is why we love the community aspect of anything that we do, because those people around you can help you take action, or at least anything that you feel like you're stuck on. There is no dumb questions. We've had a lot of questions. We always try to help people at least get started. And then once you get started, being consistent is the next thing that you need to do. But I just love this picture. Everybody has a plan. You do get punched in the mouth. That's Mike Tyson, Iron Mike. I grew up watching all his fights. You need to take action. You need to have a plan, but the plan doesn't have to be perfect. The process might feel like you're getting beat up. Even us talking about our process and showing that, you can see, Nathaniel was missing the mark in the beginning. He had this idea of riding a bike, and then we started to do something. We had a little bit of success, but even in that process, we were just constantly failing and coming up short. I don't think you can ever avoid the punches, but what you can do is you can get back up. Being able to overcome adversity is really a learning process of being an entrepreneur. If you can do that, I think you can be successful in anything. Just continue to get up, continue to take action, being able to be consistent on finding success, and reach out to the people around you. I think when we started, there was no Facebook, there were no YouTube videos, there was no people that you could reach out to. It was just me trying to figure this thing out on the fly, and I think that's why it took so long. I don't think the process has to take that long anymore, because there's such a great community and so much information that you can tap into. You just have to be able to ask the question. So getting out of your comfort zone, ask the questions. I would definitely try to push people out of your comfort zone if you have a problem asking questions. Make that strategy that you work towards. It's just feeling comfortable to be able to ask questions. You want to take this one, brother, so I can grab a sip?
So step 2 is being consistent. And, rightfully, this is something I've talked about so much, over these last couple of presentations. But like Stephen was saying, taking action is so important. You're going to hit those walls, but at least if you're consistent, you will start, to build this system. And so that's going to also help you just learn how you can be most efficient. If you're doing the same thing over and over, if you're like me and a little bit of lazy, then you're going to start seeing ways that you can, skip some steps, or, tie things together a little bit more seamlessly. seamlessly. There we go. And so you're just going to start being more efficient with your time, effort, and energy as you're doing something over and over. And with that efficiency, you're going to be able to speed things up, so it won't take you as long, which is a great thing, which means you can, handle more, and hopefully both being efficient and, being faster at what you're doing will help you find more success. If you're not having any success, just being consistent, you will find some success. And, again, adding the efficiency and the speed will help you do that more, which is hopefully your goal, because it's our goal for you. But what that means is that you have to put in the work. And so it won't always look as glamorous as this person with their like perfect latte over there and their, somewhat organized desk, even though they're trying to make it look messy.
I wish I would have took some pictures of us in that office. That was like...
We have them somewhere. I'm sure of it. Yeah. Okay. We just have to find them. Yeah, I wish we could show our office. It was not, as nice as this.
Looks like a bomb went off. There's a lot of sweating.
There was a lot of stuff going on in that office. Jengas as far as the eye could see. So, you just have to put in the work, and, regardless of, how pretty that looks or how it makes you kind of feel inside, just being consistent, finding a way to constantly open your laptop or go to your desktop and like sit down and put some work into this business is what's going to help you move this thing forward. It's what's going to help you build a system.
Step 3, this is kind of where you want to assess. This is really where you're going to be taking a step back. You really need to be able to evaluate your process up to this point. Are you heading in the right direction? Are you able to see patterns that will help you? Are you able to speed things up? Are you reaching your goals? Is there anything that you can do to help you reach your goals quicker? You really need to be honest with yourself. Can you make adjustments and fix the problems, or do you need help? Again, the community aspect is something that I'm going to continue to harp on. I think if I had a community, or at least people to reach out to when I started, I would be way farther ahead. It takes a very long time to figure things out on your own, and there is no reason to do that anymore. There's such an amazing opportunity here in front of you. We hopefully drove that point home in the very first episode when we did the 10,000 foot view, our process, everything. It's just an amazing time to be alive. It's incredible to me. I'm a little older than Daniel, 10 years, but he lives in Atlanta and we're doing a webinar for people around the world. Like, that's so incredible to me that wasn't possible even just a few years ago. Being able to help people with speed, with energy, with effort, and just like, I don't know, it's fascinating to me. And I don't want anybody to miss out on this time. Like, putting in the energy and effort now, I think is going to pay off dividends as things move more and more online. And I truly believe POD is the future. There was even a local contractor here that I don't know if he made or purchased, that has one of these machines that can print buildings. So there's a lot of, I don't know how deep I want to go into this, but they're changing up a lot of regulations and they're needing to find different ways to build things. A lot of waste needs to get cut out. They need to move things and build them taller. And that is now something that's being talked about locally, and it's becoming more popular. I'm super excited about it because it's in the same field that we are in, which is POD. And before you kind of move on past this step, everything up to this point should be free or low cost. Using merch, it should be free. They have a weird tiering system. But all the stuff that we talked about in tier 1, you should be able to do all of these steps for free up to this point. The next thing that we're going to talk about, outsourcing, it does cost money. You don't need a perfect system, but I would strongly suggest that you have a complete system. Otherwise, it's going to cost you a ton of money and frustration if you jump past this point too quick. That's why I really like step 3 is assessing, taking time, looking over the data. This was the most time consuming for me. This is kind of where you need to nerd out a little bit. You're gonna have to really pour over the data, see what's working, see what's not working. Like I said, be honest with yourself. Just try to figure out, am I reaching my goals? Am I getting to where I feel comfortable that I can start hiring out help? It's not always super clear. This is something that we've tried to help more and more people with. It's just another reference point to us. Everybody's business is a little different. So sometimes you can hire just one VA to do both sides. Sometimes you have to hire 2 VAs to do art and the keyword or the however you want to do the research side of it. It's not a perfect system, outsourcing, but if you have built a system, you should be able to know, okay, I need somebody to be able to take over this part of the business. So like how we started with the art, because it was just, I was giving Athena way too much information. I was dumping a ton of landing zones and keywords on him, and he wasn't able to keep up with the art. So it was like a natural progression of what we were doing. And hopefully here at this point, if you're taking time and really pouring over the data, you should see where like the pain points are in your own business and be able to adapt and then figure out how you can move forward.
It's not my favorite part of the business, but it is very important, both keywords and just looking at your system and your business and finding ways to improve and what's the bottleneck and all of that. But step 4 is outsourcing, and this is something that me and Stephen both love, and we're very happy with where we're at now, where we can outsource a lot of this business. And so we just wanted to take the time and explain a few different options that you have for outsourcing. And I've learned over the course of teaching that I really love pros and cons. So we're going to break down each of these things in pros and cons as well. So we have some services, the Wingman U services, and that's because, like we said earlier, I have an art team, I have kind of a managing listing team, and Stephen has, a keyword team and kind of the research team. And so we found that, we've built these very unique teams that help us run our business, and they're actually so efficient that we can allow them to help other people as well. So we have a service for both designs and keywords. Using our personal VAs, we allow you guys to tap into them. I'm going to break down both of those in just a second, but you don't have to use our service. There is another way that you can outsource, the other way that we suggest that you outsource at least, which is hiring your own VAs. I talked about a little bit of trying to hire my friends and trying to hire, artists all over the world to really help us out with this idea, but nothing has been as efficient as actually hiring VAs as far as cost goes and as far as like being consistent with the work. So we're going to dive into each of those things, and we're going to first start with outsourcing designs. And so I have a service called the Daily Flight. And like I said, I love my pros and cons list. And so even with, this service that I have built, there are some cons with it, and I like being, upfront and, real with you guys. So we just want to break down each one of these things. And so the Daily Flight, what it's going to help you do is be faster and more efficient with your time that you get to work on your print-on-demand business. And that's because my personal team has been creating print-on-demand products specifically for the last 3 years. So they're people that I have trained. They're in my account. They're making the designs that go up live for me, and they've just been absolutely fantastic and killing it. And they're very efficient for me, and they've been efficient for other people inside the Daily Flight as well. Another pro kind of with this service is the trademark. We don't have very many trademark problems because, we have multiple steps that we're checking trademark. Now, that's not to say that we're perfect because, there are a lot of things that kind of go with the trademark world. But this is something that, I don't want to know if I want to brag on, but it's something that I want to mention that if you are nervous about, my team is very good at checking for trademarks, at least visually, as far as those things go. Now, like I said, to be real with you guys and tell you exactly how this system works is it's a use it or lose it system. So with that speed and efficiency that we have in my Daily Flight program or service, I should say, we have a very strict schedule that we stick to. So we give you an Excel spreadsheet, we show you guys how to fill that in, but if you miss one of the deadlines, which there are deadlines every day, then you do lose out on getting that design done. Now, we're not asking you every single day to go in there and make a design. We will let you see the full month that this service runs for, and you can fill those up as far in advance as you want. We have some people like 3 months out ahead of us because they know those days are coming, and they don't want to lose out on designs that they've made. But the way we run this, or the reason we run it like this, is because it is my team, and I've custom built the way the system works. I've trained everyone in that system to be as efficient and to work off of the schedule that I've put in place, and that's what works for me personally on my account, and that's the way I want things to be run. So that's why we stick to that use it or lose it, and it is my team. So you might see that as a con because that means that you don't have the freedom to kind of build this around your own system. And so we're going to talk about hiring your own VAs in a second. But you could also look at my team as positive, because I've already put in the work to kind of build out the way things I think should be done. So another thing that I think the way that things should be done is one revision. This is something I keep for myself because I'm an artist and I love to constantly go back and change things and mess with things, but I tell my designers to only make one revision because, again, it helps us moving forward. It helps us to be, as fast and as efficient as possible if we're not constantly going back and working on old files. And so this is something I echo into this service as well, in that we only allow you to do one revision. Now, for making spelling errors, which, does happen from time to time, we'll go back and fix those. But as far as like design elements go, we only make one revision.
So another thing that we've worked on is the outsourcing the keywords for people. Nathaniel's was able to tap into his team and then was able to scale that. Something that we struggled with as we were tiering up and taking on other people's merch account was the tiering system constantly was hurting us. We would hire a bunch of VAs, and then after we hit all the tiers, and then Amazon was letting people get tiered up, we had to start letting those VAs go. We did that maybe once or twice, and we were like, hey, we don't like this. We need to find another way to use our VAs so that we can hire them full-time and keep them working. So just like Nathaniel has...
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off here. Just to, I guess I could have waited. I don't know why I cut you off. But if you guys want to know more about any of the services that, either my design... Daily Flight, or Steven's keyword thing, you can reach out to us after through Facebook, through our communities, and get in contact with us to figure out exactly, the way that you can enter some of these services.
Yeah, everybody, I guess, uses this a little differently. There are people that use that Daily Flight for all of their designs, and there are some people that use the Daily Flight as like a base, and then they take that and make different variations from it. So just like we've talked about all night, every system is a little different. Reach out to us. We love helping people. We'll figure out something and work with you. This keyword pack is, I think it's a really great benefit if you have a need for it, because you'll be getting a niche or a customer base to go after. You'll get landing zones. You'll also get keywords to be able to build your listings. We do a lot of trademark checking, and the VAs that we've had working with us, just like the Daniel's team, they understand a lot of Amazon-ness, so they kind of know what to stay away from. They also understand, at least as far as we could teach them, the legal and illegal side of the trademark checking. Now, Amazon and what's legal doesn't always line up, so there's always some holes in what we're doing. Also, things are changing very rapidly. This is something that you're going to have to be aware of, and you're going to have to do your own trademark check. So that is a con. It's also, I think, you need a system to be able to take in all this information. So just like with when I was working with Nathaniel, there was a point that I just got super efficient at finding landing zones, targeting customers, and pulling keywords that it was just overwhelming him. And then it was very clear that he needed to hire art help, because the art takes, I think, a little bit longer than it takes us to find landing zones. Because once we kind of hone in on a gap in the market, it's pretty easy for us to go and find all of the landing zones and try to pull as many keywords as we can to target that customer base, and then hand that off as a pack to the art team that Nathaniel had. And then now we've grown this team so big that we have a lot of, I don't know about leftovers, but there's a lot of stuff that we can help other people with. And instead of our team constantly going up and going down, and depending on how me and Nathaniel are operating the business, if we want to go more into Shopify or if we want to build a brand on Amazon, like it's a lot of steps that we are testing. And instead of like, oh, we need this amount of VAs, we just built a team and we don't want to lay anybody off. So now we have extra people working for us. They sometimes do different jobs, but I want to kind of bring everybody back in-house and go back to what we are very efficient at, which is the research on POD.
Yeah. Before we move on to hiring VAs, we do actually, another service that we offer that we didn't talk about is the actual asset packs. And so that's, both the keyword side of things and actually the design side of things. So you can do both. And we have several people tapping into that service as well. So just like the last two services, if any of those sound like they could really help you jumpstart your business and that you think you're ready for, please contact us. We've always, want to make sure that we can help as many people as possible, not just with the information, but because we have, these awesome VAs that we work with and these awesome teams that we have that are pretty efficient, that we want to make sure that you guys can tap into them if it's going to benefit you. So now to talk about, hiring your VAs. If you hear us talk about all these things, you're like, man, that's great. But, I wish I could just hire my own VAs to help me and I could craft the system the way that I want to. That is definitely something you can do and something we suggest you do when you are ready for it. So again, to talk about this in pros and cons, the pro of hiring your own virtual assistant, the first one we're going to talk about is that best price. You're going to be able to, work with these VAs, find out what they need, monthly to do the jobs that you're asking them to do, and that's going to mean that you're getting the best price because there's no one else, in the system besides you and the person you're paying, which is great. The second pro that we want to talk about is optimizing, meaning that you can, like I said, create the system exactly the way that you want to. So whatever your, strengths are, you can keep focusing on those and identify your weaknesses and then hire someone to, help you with whatever that weakness is. So in Steven's case, he's really good at keywords, but he's not so great at art. And so we have my art team in place to help him, with his account and the things that he's doing. They're always, available to him. He can ask whatever he needs of them. And the same goes for me with, I'm really good with art, but I was horrible at finding keywords. And now Steven has the keyword team. And anytime we have a new idea or something we want to test, we can tap into his team and just help them with that weakness that I have. They kind of fill that gap. So you can do this with your own virtual assistant as long as you're making it clear in how you're hiring them that, hey, I'm really good at this thing, I need help with this, and just letting them know that up front. So along with, optimizing, you are in control. So like I said, you make this personalized to you. You make this personalized to the way that you want to run this business. And I think that's something that excites both me and Steven about this thing is we get to do the thing that we like to do, and we like to outsource the thing that we don't want to do. And even, parts of the business that we're good at, we can now outsource because we're in control and we can hire people to do that if we want to, which we both do. We enjoy having some of our time back. So. But again, being real with you guys, there are some cons to this, and you are going to have to train these people from the ground up. It's not to say that there's no one out there that understands print on demand, but the chances of you finding someone is very slim because most people who are doing print on demand are, scaling up. And usually, anyone that we hire on, we're having to train from the ground up. One, even if they did understand print on demand, I think we do things a little bit differently. So they have to learn our system and kind of our culture and all those things that go along with it. So there is, a couple of months that it's going to be some back and forth and, jumping on video calls with them to talk about, the way things are going. So kind of along that topic of jumping on video calls with them, most of the time they're in a different area and they have a different culture. So all of our VAs are actually in the Philippines. We're going to tell you guys a site in just a second where we suggest you go to look for VAs because it's been really good to me. And but there is different cultures over there. They speak a different language. So there are some of those barriers that you just have to be aware of. And so that's why me and Steven both talked about this trademark issue. Because if they, came from, an American culture and maybe they would understand, all the trademarks, which I highly doubt because there are still trademarks that me and Steven, have no idea about. And so it's just something to be aware of that they come from a different culture. And even things like their 13th month that they have in the Philippines, that took me and Steven, I think, a little too young to figure out that that was something that was over there. Basically, they get paid again for a 13th month that doesn't exist. But, you just have to learn things about them. As you're getting on those video calls, you get to learn them and, their culture, and the same thing for, them learning your culture. So just understand that there is some of that, back and forth that has to happen for you guys to kind of get on the same page. And so lastly, the con is that they're human. It'd be great if we could just go out and hire, AI assistants, they're robots that never needed time off and can do exactly what we want all the time. But that's not reality. And, the same with the negatives of, them being human and them, especially in the Philippines, there's a lot of power outages and crazy weather and things like that. So they're not always able to get everything done that we need. But on the flip side of that, they are humans, which means that they can be more efficient, after doing something for a while. So the same way that me and Steven were able to identify bottlenecks in our own business, we've had our VAs suggest ways that we could more streamline our business and, make things more efficient because they were the ones doing it day in and day out, and they just had a different perspective than us. And so, that could be a con because of the negatives that come around with that. But really, in the end, it's probably a positive that, we can communicate with them, we can see how they're doing, and they can let us know how we can, increase our chances of success in this business. And, they're working in your business. So allowing them to have the freedom to tell you, their ideas that they're having is, extremely impactful, and has been a great thing for both me and Stephen with this experience of hiring assistants. So last thing
Nathaniel has that. I'm just going to speak from my experience. Nathaniel has that con as the human. There is some problems with working with people. There's always that life things that come up, but I would say that them being human has been a huge pro for me, because I had multiple sheets that I was working off of, and my system was a little all over the place, and my VAs helped me streamline that whole system. They were like, okay, well, we are tracking all these data points, but we're realizing like some of these are not changing, and that's not anything that's beneficial to us. Why can't we just move all of this to one sheet? And then if you want to track additional things, after the listing goes up, why don't you make a full separate sheet for tracking? That way it's not like clogging up this whole system in the beginning. That little piece of advice streamlined and helped us speed things up so much that it was like, this is worth the money. This is why we have VAs. This is why we have additional people looking at our business, because we can't catch everything. And the people that are doing the business day in and day out for you, they're going to see those things. And if they're people that you have a relationship with, they want your business to grow. They want to help you. Like, that's why I think we love the Filipino culture, because they truly, it's like they're family to us now. Like, we're all in this thing together. We are growing this business. The better that we are able to grow, we can pay them more. We get more benefits from them telling us, hey, you might want to speed this up. It's easier for them to work with us now, because in the beginning we were doing a lot of, at least I was doing a lot of hours and basing everything off hours. Now I base it off of like the amount of work that we need to do. So it makes it much easier for them to go, hey, I need a vacation. I need to take time off. Can I have, like, instead of telling me all that, I just say, can you get this amount of work done by then? And they just say yes or no. And if it's no, then we try to move it around to another team member. But if it is most of the time yes, then they just do it. And I don't have to check on them. I don't have to see if they're doing the amount of stuff. I just can read the reports at the end of the day and say, oh, hey, they're putting this amount of work in. They're getting the stuff done. Or this person took a day off, but they handed it off to another team member. It's like a flawless thing now, which is, again, incredible, because there's never a time in history where you could just rely on somebody that's on the other side of the world, and then they kind of form a little community, and then you have a business that's like, it's weird, because I liked having Nathaniel next to me, but it's even more enjoyable now, I guess, for me to be able to go, Nathaniel's doing something different in another part of the country. He's going and talking to these people. He went to a few events without me. It was just like, this is very interesting that my business is growing so rapidly, because I'm not the one doing everything anymore. There's other people working with me, trying to grow our business and move in the direction that we have set our goals, and found success to be able to reach those goals and then continuously move the bar higher and higher.
I think we're both pretty passionate about this VA thing, because it has allowed us to be consistent. As much as I've talked about that, I know I make a joke about it all the time now, but VAs are the reason we're able to be as consistent as we are with our print-on-demand business now, because they're the ones working on it daily, and we just, like Stephen said, we get to check up on it like once a week and at the end of the month, and just make sure things are going the way we want them to. The last little bit that I want to say about VAs, if you're looking for a good place to start, hiring some VAs, onlinejobs.ph is where I hire all of my VAs from. We've built, very strong relationships with the people that we have actually hired through that website, and it's just been, all around good experience for us. But to recap this, to summarize, all the things that we just said about building a system, step one is taking action. We can't, impress upon you enough how important that is, whether you think you're ready or not, just taking action, putting some effort forward. And that leads into step two, which is being consistent and trying to, do your best at staying on a schedule, because you're going to learn so much from that. And after you've been consistent for a while, you can take a step back and look at that and assess, what's going on here? What patterns am I seeing? How can I streamline this? How can I remove some of the bottlenecks? It's a very important part of the process. So it is, kind of that picture we showed. You got to put on your little bow tie and, push your glasses in, get a little nerdy, but it's definitely worth it, because it's going to help you get to the step four, which is outsourcing, which is the best. There's nothing else to say about it. We both love our VA teams. We both consider them to be family. They've helped us scale this business, and we're in a position now we just get to enjoy this business. It's no longer these sweaty days working next to each other, and we can enjoy this thing, but also want to teach others how to do it. Like, that's how passionate about this that we are. Is not only are we just like, oh, this is great and it's working for us, but we're like, man, this is really life-changing for us. This is something that changed the way we see working online and changed our happiness with working online, and has really brought me and Steven closer inside of being business partners, because now we're both getting to do things we enjoy in areas that we enjoy with people we enjoy. So it's just a fantastic thing. So to leave you guys with an action plan, this might look familiar, but we're going to talk about this again, and we're going to put a timeline on this of 1 month, because again, we want you to have some consistency in that month, and we think 1 month gives you good time to be focused on one path that you can go down. So if you're curious of what paths you could possibly go to, definitely check out our other sessions, as we talked about, how you can be consistent on Merch by Amazon and also on these other print-on-demand platforms. But regardless of what you choose, you have to be consistent. That is the one thing that's going to help you more than anything else. Is if you're consistent, you're going to start seeing those patterns, you're going to start understanding things more, and it's just going to help you so much inside of this business. There's not a lot of roadblocks put in place to start, because there's not a lot of upfront money, or if any upfront money, and it's just your time and effort. And so being consistent with your time and effort is going to help you more than anything else. And so one way that you can put your time and effort forward is by building 100 assets. And so this is a thing that you can take action on this month. We just wanted to echo this from our last presentation, because we believe that this is the thing that's going to help you, is being focused and building these 100 assets, and remembering that assets are just the designs and the keywords together that you can use on multiple different marketplaces for multiple different customer bases, but that is what an asset is, and we want you guys to build 100 of those, remembering that if you do 25 a week or 5 a day for 5 days a week, it's not as overwhelming as you might think. Just putting in the time, being consistent, this is going to help you so much more than you even can understand. Even if you don't have a merch account, putting the time and effort to do something like this is just going to cement the things that and help you understand more about this business than we can talk to you about or teach you, because it's going to be you doing it for yourself and you seeing your own patterns and the way that you work best. And so that leaves you with a system. And so hopefully you guys understand, after everything we said tonight, everything we've said over these last couple of sessions, that is at the heart of what we're trying to do here, is help you build a system. And so now if Nicole wants to give us another 8 weeks to talk about this, we can tell you all the reasons why having a system for print on demand will help you in every other area of selling, online, or having an online business. Those VAs that you have, those relationships that you make, they open up other doors and opportunities. At least they have for us, and that's something that we want to talk a lot more about. But this is the place where you get started. This is the time to get started, and this is the steps that you can take to actually start having success with Merch by Amazon, having success with print on demand, and having success building your own system. So if you guys want to continue learning from us, we'd love for you to join us on our community, which is facebook.com/U of WM, which is Wingman University. And if you want to just learn from us from the videos that we put together, we're trying to be consistent over on YouTube, and that's youtube.com/C for channel and / again Wingman University, where we're trying to put up content weekly that will show you guys lessons and things that we've learned, and just way to streamline some of those starting steps, but also some deeper topics there of how you can track and test. And we've got a lot of great content planned for our YouTube channel.
Videos on, brother. We had some questions. The online job PH
is it online jobs? I put the online PH. It's online jobs PH.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, online jobs PH. All right, I missed the jobs. Sorry about that. Online jobs.ph. There you go. We got the jobs. Okay, so I thought you guys were awesome. I would love for you. Now, I'm going to paint a picture so that you guys can see the value of having a VA. Besides the fact that, Nate traveled for 2 years and Stephen is doing whatever his wife says whenever she.
You've been talking to my wife,
which is not a bad thing. They are clearly enjoying themselves, and clearly it's rekindled their marriage. So hey,
yeah, we're actually going to a USC fight. I had an option to go with a friend, and then he kind of backed out, and so I had some extra tickets. So I put on Facebook who wants to go, and my wife was like, me, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know my wife wanted to go to USC fight.
She is clearly enjoying spending time with her man. Okay, evidently this is working out for you. So I just want to paint a picture for everybody because of the fact that clearly doing print on demand has freed up their life. All of us do retail arbitrage. I still love retail arbitrage. I will always do some level of retail arbitrage. It is an amazing opportunity. People who do print on demand, I know Becky does print on demand. There's some other people that do print on demand. But again, the amount of turnaround time, as Stephen mentioned, was like, okay, the fastest I can get this turned around is maybe a month. But the reality is it's anywhere from 2 months to potentially 3 months just to get this thing turned around. So that's more realistic for private label. And I'm not trying to knock private label. What I am trying to do is look, when you're trying to get started in e-commerce and you're trying to get started quick, or you're trying to make a shift in your business and your capital is low, print on demand is the most logical path there is. There's still a way to do e-commerce. And yes, there's some work involved. So for yourself, I'm going to give you two sides of the coin. You can either, and I'm sorry, we turned off the lights because I was going to have Frickin' Frack go to bed, James Brown, and Rick James go to sleep. I know I call my kids all kinds of names.
She said, Rick and Frank, James Brown.
James Brown and Rick James. So you have two sides of the coin. You can do it yourself, which is fine. And you can slot some time every single day. Remember the activities that they said. You're going to have to do some keyword research. You're going to have to create some designs. And then you're going to create the listing. You can still do that. So if I'm a time block person, time blocks always work better. Lord have mercy. They work better because
hanging out with us too much.
I know. No, it ain't got nothing to do with you. Clearly, that's how I really wanted to say it. Anyway, time blocks help you be consistent. They help you to build momentum in your business, because at the end of the day, what made these two guys successful was their consistency, which automatically built the momentum that they needed. The consistency built the momentum, and the momentum is what brings you to cash. So the more listings, the more consistent they were in their business, the more they were putting listings up, the faster they got money back, the faster they were able to go, hey, let's go on vacation. Hey, I want to go see the Grand Canyon. Hey, I want to go do this thing. That is how their life went. And they are, look, I'm going to be 50 next year. They're clearly not 50.
I was telling people on the cruise ship I was 36, and my wife was like, why are you lying to those people? I was like, how old am I? She was like, you're 34. What's wrong with you? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm 60. All my friends here in Florida are 60. I just hang out with 60-year-olds.
But the point is, and then you got Nate, who's 10 years younger than him, or however many years younger than him. I'm like, Jiminy Christmas. If I was 24 and I was able to travel anywhere, well, okay, I guess I was. Renata will tell you need to shut up, because I was a consultant. I was making six figures by the time I was 27, and I was clearly traveling anywhere I wanted to. But it took me a while. I wasn't there at 24. But if I had it to do over again, I definitely will be doing what Nate is doing, because he literally, like, none of his creative juices are blocked. His ability to do whatever. If he wanted to go do mission work, he could go do mission work. If he wanted to just live the rest of his life sitting on the beach drinking Mai Tais, he could do that.
No, he can't. No, he cannot.
Not with Steven as my brother.
Yeah.
I know he won't even entertain that idea.
No. Don't put that seed in his head. That ain't working out. Did we go over the point of I can't even check the calendar without it? Then I need this. Ain't gonna be able to sit on a beach.
But the point is, he has a lot more flexibility in his life. And for some of you, you need more capital. You need more money. So print on demand is going to be a fast way for you to I won't say fast. Let me just correct that. With consistency over time, you will build momentum.
It's the best place to earn as you learn. And there's no quicker way to do that with no capital. It's an amazing time.
Right. And so I have no idea how many print on demand like how many prints they have up, like how many listings they have. They probably have a few thousand, okay?
Did you count them, brother?
They probably have a few thousand. But again, if you're doing, 100 a month, even he recommended 5 a day. Can you do 5 a day? Yeah. Can you do 5 a day in 1 hour? Absolutely. If you're focused, 5 a day in 1 hour, you can knock that out in 11, 12 minutes and you're done. So 11 minutes per, 12 minutes per each one of them. You can be done in 1 hour. If you were to, no, Nicholas, if you were to double that, then you could get instead of 5 prints a day, 10. And just imagine what that math looks like at the end of a month, because I'm a math nerd. And so with that, the number of listings that they have up, the momentum that they build. The thing that's unique about their print-on-demand strategy that I have not seen in anybody else's print-on-demand strategy is the fact that they are going after the keywords first. They're doing the research for the keywords first. So then and they're going to go do the analysis of what is already moving, what's already getting some level of traction. Then those two combined help them get the sales. So I could only imagine how many sales per day. I've never asked them that question. That's their own business. But the point is that they're clearly doing okay. They're clearly doing okay. And they haven't spent a lot of time. So if you only have 2 hours a day, could you knock out 10 listings a day? Yep. And at the end of a month, you'll have 10 listings a day, 10 times, 7 to 280 at the end of a month. That's 280 listings. At the end of a year, how many would you have just by working 2 hours a day? So you may start off with not making a lot of money in month 1 and month 2 and month 3 and month 4. Month 5, okay, I'm getting some money. Month 6, month 7, because you're getting better at it, you're being consistent in it, and you're building that muscle. I refer to it as building your listing muscle, building your keyword research muscle. Building those muscles is what's going to help you make the money, because at the end of the day, we really are selling keywords. Becky says that all the time, and it's absolutely true. So I want you guys to look at, okay, can I do this on my own? And then once you decide that you're going to go ahead and get started, and you're going to be, well, hopefully all y'all already started. You haven't started, I'm just gonna pray for you at this point. You need to take action. Once you've already started, then maybe after 2 months or 3 months, then you bring on your first VA. And maybe your VA does the same thing that you do, and now you've doubled yourself. Maybe your VA only works 2 hours a day. You work 2 hours a day. And so now you got 4 hours of productivity between the two of you. So you're doubling your work. Or maybe they work 3 hours a day. You work 2 hours a day, because they are going to be inefficient when they first start. But again, what has made them so successful is they've got a team of VAs. They don't just have one VA or 2 VAs. And so you will gradually get to that point. Well, maybe after 3 months of working with that VA, you bring on another VA. So now you've got 2 VAs and yourself. And again, the amount of work that can get done, and think about the number of listings. How much money could you potentially make? So you could get there faster than you think. And you could actually do this in Q4. So when you're looking at your business, if you're doing retail arbitrage, if you're doing 4 hours of work every single day, maybe you allot 2 hours to print on demand and 2 hours of retail arbitrage. Or you could still keep your 4 hours of retail arbitrage if that's what you already planned and you got your plan already in place. I'm not trying to mess with your money, so keep executing your plan and figure out how to slide 2 additional hours in there just to do print on demand. But I want you guys to know that you can work it in. And the more listings you get, you're just going to do the stepping stone thing, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. The more listings you have, it's I liken it to eBay. Like I used to teach eBay training all the time. I used to tell people all the time, the more listings you have up, the more chances of you getting a sale. But the key is that the way that they do it, the more listings you have up that people are already looking for, that just like 10x's the chances of you getting a sale. Instead of just like hoping
things out there.
You'll 10x the opportunity to get a sale. So,
yeah, this is definitely a compounding business. I think Nathaniel's smiling because I actually took out about 20 slides. All the stuff that you're talking about is all the math that I was going to show, but I just felt like it was a little heavy and hard to like sneak on people. But we learned that we could get our conversion rates, especially going after keywords that we didn't know, about 10% getting started. That was pretty good. So I just factored it out. We do 100 listings. We're going to sell one of those consistently. How can we scale this thing? After we built a system, then we were able to do 1,000 listings a day. Through that process, I found like that's kind of a burnout point. It's just a little too much work that we're doing. that's when we really started focusing in on the customers. Because if we find the customers and really understand those customers and find the go-to keywords for those customers, then we can go after that customer base. And then instead of going super wide and building 1,000 listings, we can build just a few listings and what we call a product line geared towards that customer. And then we can say, are they on Etsy? Are they on what platform are they on? That's why when Nathaniel showed last week with the 2 different sides, it is a few steps beyond what we showed. But as soon as we find that customer and what they're really going after and find those keywords and the designs that they like, we go after them in where they're at. Are they on Etsy? Are they on Shopify? Are they willing to go through Google funnels? Like, that's all the stuff that we're going after once we test the market. That's why we love that tier 1 space. We still play around with that. We still test a lot of listings, but you can scale to the moon. You can probably do more than 1,000 listings today. I know it might seem crazy. It really only took us about a week to figure out how to do that and making variations and doing all the different keywords. But once we had that system and did it for a while, we just understood, like, this is not good for me and Nathaniel. We're almost getting to that same burnout point where it was like sitting down at Thanksgiving and nobody's talking. So we kind of scaled that back and just said, okay, here's another problem we need to solve. If this is the amount that we want to convert, how do we do that? And then going and thinking about the customers, that's why I think our system is so unique. We do show you from a keyword standpoint and then go to the art, but really what we're doing is going to the customer first and then pulling the keywords from the customers so we have a much better understanding of the customers. That's why we have discover, understand, serve, and being able to give them what they want and what they're looking for, pulling out the information from your sales and then going, okay, this is what the customers are buying. These are the keywords that they're using. These are the colors. Here's the patterns that I'm finding. How now can I take this information and go find those customers and make them my customers instead of just Amazon customers or whatever platform that you're using.
So the question I have for you all is, like, your conversion stats. We know that when most of us are, you guys have been doing this for a while. Clearly you're going to the Grand Canyon, so you've been doing this for a while. But for people that are just sort of starting, so they're working on improving their keyword research game. They're working on improving, okay, my design game. I'm going to be a little slower. I'm like the tortoise and the hare. You guys are the hare. We're the tortoise. So when you look at that from a conversion standpoint, like, what are your conversion stats when you go after the customer first? Are you guys converting at roughly about 40%, 30%, 50%? What are you converting at, 10%?
It's a real low percentage when we start,
okay,
because we don't know those customers. We are just kind of, we're shotgunning, but we're shotgunning in a very tight spread. So if we're going after customers that like cats or dogs or whatever, we're shotgunning in that area. So it's a very low conversion rate because we're really just testing the market like crazy. Once we have the information that we're looking for, the conversions go up a lot. Each niche is different, so some of them are more competitive than others, but if you find those gaps in the market, your conversion rates can go up to crazy amounts. And then you really know, oh, they love red. They love this saying. They love these keywords. If I continuously hammer this home, then my conversions are crazy high. And that's why we say, okay, once you learn your customers, take that information and move it away from Amazon, because you're going to have a ton. As soon as you figure out something and people understand that you figured it out and you've kind of cracked the code, a ton of competition is going to come in there. I don't want to discourage you from starting with merch because it's an amazing place to start. But once you gather that information, we strongly suggest you move that information away from just Amazon and get them as customers. Then you're growing a business. Then you have, your conversions can be crazy because then you can start putting 2 products together. You can do all kinds of crazy things to get your percentages up. And that's where it gets super exciting. So as far as like the conversions, that's why we say, like, we don't teach how to scale this thing to the moon. We don't teach you how to do 1,000 listings a day, even though it's possible and we could show you how to do that. We just don't think it's a wise way of doing it. And focusing solely on conversion is so drastic depending on the different niches that you're going after, depending on how Amazon's algorithm is working, depending on what quarter that you're going after. Because now I would say conversions are probably way higher.
Yeah, conversions are going to be high right now. Yeah, they're going to be high in Q4. So on the low end, okay, so I'm going to semi ballpark it, but I'm not going to ballpark it. So they might, low conversions might be 1 or 2%, which is going to be really, really low.
Yeah, but as you start, it's the low conversions. As you learn, your conversions go up. And you're learning that customer more than just learning the platform. You're learning, okay, these customers like these things. My conversions can go up way high now, 40%, 30%. 50%. If you understand those customers, your conversions are going to be way higher. It's almost like if you go to the grocery store, there are products that just sit on the shelves forever. If you're one of those people selling those products that are not moving, then you're not growing. But if you have all of the soup and you are progressive and every other soup on the shelf, you'll be able to say, hey, they like chicken noodle soup. I'm only going to sell chicken noodle soup. And then your conversions are going to be through the roof.
Yeah, they're going to be ridiculous. And then when you're selling on the other platforms, how are you driving traffic to get people to your listings on those other platforms, whether it's, you said Redbubble, and you mentioned, there's a couple of them that Nate mentioned. So how are you guys gaining traffic or getting traffic to those listings on those other platforms?
It's all organic or partnerships that we're doing. We are moving into building our own brand. So now we're starting to test marketing and different things. Somebody else was asking how we sold that first writing shirt to a local audience. That was actually organic. Nathaniel had an idea to put them up on merch and go around and tell people about them, either on merch or buying them from merch, to be able to sell them locally. But before he was able to pull that plan off, they were selling organically. And it was extremely mind-bending process for us to go, oh, you just need a little bit of traffic. And if you're the only, if you go into a grocery store and there's only one can of soup, everybody's going to go buy that can. So our conversions at that point were extremely high because we were the only product in that space. Nobody was making St. Pete riding trail anything. And it just so happened that so many people bought that it actually moved up into the position of Florida riding shirt. And because there weren't a lot of Florida riding t-shirts, people from all around were buying that shirt because it had a Florida theme and a rider on it. Even though it said St. Pete, they didn't care. That's how that thing grew up. And that's why we really focused on the customers and went, oh, this is really what happened. We didn't see it in the beginning what truly happened, but after a lot of looking at the system and seeing what's going, and then looking back at it, and that shirt still sells and sells well, we were just like, what's going on here? This is what really we targeted these customers. There can't be that many customers buying it locally. What's truly going on? Then when I looked for it and found, oh, it's really just, if you typed in Florida riding shirt, it's number one. Like that's a lot of people going to Florida riding shirt, buying that shirt just because there's nothing there. Then we made more shirts there and converting more in that space because we understand those customers are being underserved. And that's truly what we're trying to help you guys with. Find those gaps in the market, test out a lot of different things.
Okay, so go ahead, Nate.
I want to add on to everything that Steven's saying, but I want to take this down another road. But there are multiple ways that you can do this thing. The way that we're teaching, we believe, is the best because it gives you a way to look at what's working and what's not working, which is very important. What I did with that Florida riding shirt, as I just threw that up, that was out of my own head. There were no keywords to support that. There was no logic.
There were a lot of keywords to support it. He just stumbled across. He put Florida riding shirt in there on accident. It wasn't something that even was like, oh, these are good keywords. Right.
That was just a complete shot in the dark. So that, there is something to be said about making shirts for local events and targeting things like that, but it's a much harder road to travel than if you do it kind of keyword first. And that's what we've seen. And we've said this before, this is not the only way to do merch by Amazon, but or print on demand in general, but this is what we believe is the best way to start understanding that. Partnerships, how I was able to sell that thing locally, going door to door is not something I'm good at. I'm not a good salesman. So even walking into a business and saying, hey, I have this shirt, that's never worked for me and not something I enjoy. But there are other ways that you can strategically partner with somebody who already has an audience. And then I have a much better time talking to one person who's going to sell to their audience. So like I said, there's a lot of ways to do this thing. If you guys want to ask those questions, please do. But this is where we suggest you guys start, because again, being consistent in here, you're going to actually learn how the system works. And when you go and try to sell products to somebody or sell the idea of doing print on demand for their business, having a good understanding of how this actually works, and even understanding keywords a little bit better, all of those things build, or make it easier rather for you to do partnerships and, move into other areas. So this is just what we've found to be the best solid foundation that you can lay for yourself before you kind of move into those other parts. Not saying you can't, but that's just our suggestion, and what we've seen, help people find success the quickest.
Okay. All right.
There's a lot of cool partnerships that you can do with different products. We teach a lot on the shirts just because there's a ton of information that you can grab and learn from, but especially in books, there are people going around to local gyms and working with people to build schedule books, or realtors building the sign-in books for their real estate agency and personalizing them. There's a million ideas inside POD.
Schools, churches,
showed off, the spirit gear.
Billion things.
It's an endless supply of, if you have an idea, you can put that idea into action almost overnight. And that's why we love teaching POD. We just love teaching it from the perspective of, if you're getting started, rely on organic traffic, understand what you're doing. Because once you understand that process and can speak intelligently about it, that's where people trust you. If you just go in there and go, hey, there's this thing, you can do it online, I don't fully understand how it works, they're gonna be like, get up out of here, buddy. I don't know what you're trying to sell me, snake oil.
And again, that's from personal experience.
All right. And so, so she has a question about, can you please explain on the partnerships? Do we create accounts for the partnerships and then we run it? And so I'm gonna let you guys answer first, and then I'm gonna maybe piggyback on whatever you say if there's any holes. Only I can speak to it from a nonprofit standpoint for sure, and stuff that we do with the church. But go ahead.
I'll let Nathaniel handle this. I'm just going to speak my 2 cents. There is no cookie cutter way of doing this. Every deal that we do is completely.
That's what I was trying to think. If there was any deals that we've done that have been, the exact same as another deal we've done, and there just isn't. The beauty of print on demand, the beauty of the way that we're able to structure the deals and the partnerships that we have is that we can kind of make it fit whatever situation we're in. And so knowing what platform to go to, knowing what products to use, knowing what to say to them to open up with, knowing how many options to give them. Don't tell them they have the entire world of products that they can print on.
That is also a big mistake that we did at the beginning.
Yeah, there's still so many mistakes that we make in this thing, but learning all of those things is, how we learn to create the actual deals that we're doing. And again, that's from being consistent in doing this thing, understanding all these platforms and all this stuff. So there isn't one cookie cutter way that we do things. But one way that I suggest you can start, and is the easiest way that I have done partnerships, it's not the best because you're losing out on some of the monthly revenue if you do it this way, but you can actually set up a Redbubble account. Again, it's 100% for free. I showed it off last week with the church. Like I just did that deal maybe a month ago. So Redbubble is awesome. You create them account, you tell them you put in your bank information in here. I've charged, upwards of $500 just to set that up and tell them like, hey, I'll put your graphic in here and then you push it off to your customers. It's the easiest work I do throughout the week. Literally getting a design from them, putting it on Redbubble, giving them the link. They think it's the greatest thing in the world. And, then they can sell that monthly. You can try to split the money and do all that, but for me, it's more headache. That's why I just like Redbubble. Give them the account, they get all the monthly money, but I get that upfront cost or that upfront charge that I charge. And it helps build that relationship because usually from that, and I have stories to back this up, but from that, they go tell other people, right? And it's ended up with me being, the sole provider for entire, school leagues of, certain sports teams. And they're like, oh, everyone in the league wants one of these, Spirit Weird shirts that you've put, or websites that you've put together. And then everyone in this county is ordering shirts from, what we're doing. And so, it can be very explosive at times, which is what we love. But Redbubble has been the one place that's, like I said,
turn that off completely.
Set that
off completely. Okay,
and I would say,
okay, go ahead.
Merch is another great place to partner, especially when you're trying to get out of those lower tiers. You can do a lot of no money upfront deals and even no monthly pay deals, and even give them the money if you want to do it for churches. That's how we kind of grew a lot of people that we were helping. They're getting started tiers. We'd say go to local church, whatever the next event is give them the bottom out price, whatever Amazon has it, and offer them that price. And then don't take any money from it. Don't take any money up front. Don't take any monthly money, because even if you just sell 10 shirts to them, you're going to get to that next tier. So that's like another strategy on the opposite side if you're just getting started. That's not a great partnership deal if you want to start earning any money, but it is a strategy to kind of get you geared up and get you geared up quickly. And
you're getting your name out there as someone who can do that.
And those deals, like Nathaniel said, roll into other deals. We did one deal like that, then we did another deal. Then it was like, okay, now we can start charging. We are growing our account. We even teach other people that strategy of just going, talking to local churches, local small events. There's normally a gap in the market from people wanting one-off shirts and then going to a screen printer because you need like 35 or 40 as a minimum order. That gap is where you can fill that need and then be able to really put your name out there and just go, oh, this is the guy that does t-shirt art, or this is the guy that does online sales, and just have that be your AKA, and then you can start flourishing from that direction.
I'd agree. I was going to say, yeah, basically some of what you guys say is it is definitely tailored to who you're doing business with. So I can remember not back in the day, but before I even got into any type of print on demand, and I'm not a hardcore print on demand person, but I would randomly get requests for different things. And somebody would say, can you, blah, blah, blah. So I would do things like when our office was moving, our therapy office was moving, and she said, I need to get this mailer out to all the families. Can you help me do this? And I helped her get her mailer out to all of the families. The announcement, here's we're moving and here's a picture of the building. Another thing was when we ordered shirts for our nonprofit, Like I went out, I did a print on demand account to be able to do that so that our supporters could go out and buy from that account. And then of course we kept the difference in the revenue on that. Different things with different churches. I think churches like daycares, doctor's offices and dentist offices, if there is a area that you are specialized in. So let's say one of our team members is a nurse. So you understand some of the ins and outs of things that happen in a doctor's office or a dentist's office or in a hospital, and that may be your specialty. Then you know that there's probably opportunities that you could be filling in those areas where you have knowledge that other people are really not thinking about when it comes to print on demand. Maybe certain nurses like their names engraved on their scrubs. Maybe certain nurses like to have some kind of headband. Maybe certain nurses like to have, I don't know, whatever it happens to be, certain types of socks. They want to have some themed socks, whatever. You could go hog wild with the print on demand that you can do. Same thing with daycares, they always celebrate all the holidays with the kids. And so there's always something you can be doing to take advantage of.
Yeah, that's a really great point, and makes me reflect on, the people that I work mostly with is churches. I grew up in a church, volunteering at a church, and I was like, oh, I hate doing fundraisers for mission trips. Here's an easy way to do fundraising.
Here's an easy,
Same thing with school. Like I played a ton of sports in school, so I understood how annoying it was for coaches, because I have good friends who are coaches now, and they're like, we hate dealing with the parents, we hate getting these orders, we hate sending the kids home with these order sheets and getting their money back. Like that whole process, like, no, I have the perfect solution for this, and that has just blown up. So I used the knowledge that I had, things I had experience of. I was able to see some of those gaps in the market or frustrations that people were going through, and just help them with that. So that's a really good tip. If business, just thinking a little bit more creatively about that, how print on demand can fit into that system and probably solve people's problems. That is a win-win for everybody. Help someone solve a problem and you're making money.
There's a ton of small businesses with shirts stacked up in a closet somewhere because they have to continuously batch order stuff. And then when they get a new employee, their size is like a medium size. So they have a ton of leftover shirts in the closet. If you can find one of those businesses and say, hey, how are you doing your employee uniforms? I can help you solve that problem, where I can put this on the employee and then they can just order whatever size they want. And if you want to buy it off of Amazon or wherever you want to buy it from, it's just there. So you don't have to make a batch order. You just order the one-offs and then it gets there within a day or two. That has been another thing that we have wanted to do a lot more, but just have not, because our business is growing much bigger. But that's a huge gap in the market that a lot of local businesses have this problem. They don't like dealing with the local screen printer because it's constantly a batch order. They don't have that many customers that are coming in. That's why you always see those smaller businesses trying to sell their shirts, because they're ordering way too many and they think that might be another way to start selling them. You can say, hey, you can still sell your shirts. You can sell them online, and you can also help prevent like that back storage closet that it's filled with all this stuff that you don't need. You can get rid of all those, and then
just stealing your shirts anyways.
Oh my God, yeah. So I'm gonna add a couple of different pieces to this, because I love what Nate was saying earlier. So, and also what Stephen was saying. So back to merch for just a second. Yes, hold on. I'm bringing it all together. So Stephen said something about merch and getting to the next tier. And so one of the things that always resonates in the back of my head is what Sean Mayo said. Sometimes you want to play the long game. You have to remember, anything that you're doing, you're playing the long game. So if in the scenario that Stephen gave us, where you're ordering 10 shirts for a church and you're not making any money, you're giving the bottom line price just so you can get to tier 2, tier 3, whatever, then you're playing the long game so you can just raise your tiers on merch. And you have to remember that sometimes you have to play the long game. On the other side of that, when Nate was talking about, he charges them $500 just to set up that account, and it was the easiest money that he ever made. Just imagine how many of those that you could do. So you literally could become a print-on-demand agency, where you go out and maybe you seek out, once a week you go out and seek out 20 new potential customers, and you talk to them about what their needs are, or you understand what their needs are because you understand their business to an extent. Like I mentioned, nurses, or if you previously used to work in a daycare, or maybe you worked in an auto mechanic shop, like some of the things that people are needing. Right now is the perfect time of year for people to be building those planners. Like we're doing a planner for eCom sellers, the 90-day game plan for eCom sellers, where it's in a planner. And so there are people that are putting those types of things together. So this is an opportunity for you. You think about real estate agents, doctors' offices, back to school. Back to school, they're always talking about that whole, what do they call this stupid thing? It's agenda. It's a school agenda. And so, each school, sometimes schools need students to purchase agendas. I remember when Tony was in middle school at another school, they made every child order this agenda. Who do you think was making it? Okay, who do you think was making it? So, you know, getting and doing work for PTAs, if you just want to focus on PTAs, if that's your special, I mean, I literally could do a whole bunch of work for PTAs because I know everything that they need. And so I could literally just go from school to school to school, talk to the PTO or PTA and do a bunch of just PTA work. That's it. And make a bunch of money. And that's all you do. It's like, okay, well, I enjoy myself. I go sit on the beach and drink Mai Tais, and then every once in a while I get a phone call from the PTA saying, and we need shirts and we need hats and we need this, and can you print out some agendas? Okay, I got you. So just think about how you can take this business and kind of angle it to what your specialty, your knowledge, your gift or abilities are. Whatever your wheelhouse is, you could potentially turn this into something way bigger than anything you could ever imagine. So I wanted to put that out there. Yeah, she said, I taught middle school in Broward County and they didn't need those agendas. Yeah, schools order agendas and not every school district has the agendas already pre-made. So that's a great thing that people are not thinking about. And you can do that with KDP. So I love these guys. I love these guys. What kind of numbers could you make with this? Look, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to ask them their numbers, but the point is building up the momentum, building up the, you know, getting to know your customer better, or if you already know your customer, because some of you guys already know your customer. That's the truth. Some of you already know your customer. You know what they need because you either worked in that industry or you worked in that area for years. And so you already know what they need. You already knew what you were lacking when you did it, or when maybe your spouse did it, or your sister or your mother. You know what's needed. So all you have to do is just step into your greatness and go and serve this specific community that you already know. That's what you need to do, and get paid to do it. Get paid to do it. So I think what these guys have poured onto us as a group and collective, I'm great. I'm so appreciative of it. We didn't get into, I love numbers. Everybody knows who works with me. I love running numbers. I love running. I'm a numbers geek. I want to give you one more organic strategy. So during the summit, the Q4 summit, if you got the recordings, go back and listen. Everybody should have the recordings. So go back and listen to the Q4 summit recordings. There's two specific that I want you to listen to. One of them is really long. Tiffany Taylor Hicks. She talked about a bunch of different strategies about using influencers. So the reason I mention this is because once you figure out which niche is you want to go after, maybe there's a specific niche you already know, and then maybe there's another niche you know a little bit about, but you don't know enough to be, great at it. Then, sometimes reaching out to influencers so you can gain more organic traffic to your listing, whether it's an influencer where you pay them $5, $10 just to put your item
or
on.
send them POD products.
Yeah, send them POD products. I mean, bribery works all day long. So, but, getting them to put this on their blog, maybe mention it in their podcast, maybe put it on their page, maybe put it in their Facebook fan group, whatever it happens to be. They're on their Instagram page, your specific products, so you can get some traction on your specific, listings that you think would serve that specific influencer. So she did a great job. I think it was a lot of content. It was a lot of content. But she talked about working with influencers, and she also talked about content creation. So another form of content creation is actually, like, if I'm going to use what I mentioned in the summit, which was, people that love their dogs and they like to walk their dogs. These are people that walk their dogs and they walk them on the beach. That is a drilled down niche, right? So we're talking about people who walk dogs and they walk them on the beach. So that niche is specific. So maybe you create a Facebook fan page, or you create a Facebook group. Is going to be a lot, but you could create a group, create a fan page, and you start showing different things. You sprinkle in your specific listings on that page, in addition to other stuff, stories about dog walking, and maybe you put some affiliate links to specific dog leashes that are on Amazon, so you get that kickback on the affiliate commission for that. Like, there's so many different ways in which you could go after this. So I'm just saying, use print on demand and then mix in some other stuff. Like you could use your affiliate links to market other stuff and create a fan page. One of our people on our team is already using, he did his one-on-one session, Claude, and he just keeps telling me over and over again how many more sales he's getting right now because he took that approach for his 2 niches that he focuses on. He has fan pages. He's been running them now for about 2 months, maybe 3 months. And he said his sales have tripled because he took up that strategy. So I told him, I said, you just got to get better at the keywords, make sure you're sprinkling in stuff that's relevant to that specific audience, and then sprinkling in your specific listings so that they can buy your stuff. Okay. And then
understand your customer.
Yes. Understand your
customer.
That's the goal. Right. And then last but not least, if there is someone that already has your audience, somebody that's already serving that audience. So maybe there's somebody that has a podcast about walking dogs on the beach. Okay. And they also have an Instagram page. So people come to that specific Instagram page and they like whatever that person's posts are. Okay. What you can do is you can, from time to time, go out there and find find a post and maybe follow 3 or 4 of those people from your Instagram page, not your personal one, but your business Instagram page that has all of your products on it, that you're posting your products on, and you follow them from that Instagram page, follow specific people. So maybe there were 10 people that liked a post that had to do with, I don't know, a brush to brush sand off of the dog. I don't know. I'm just making up something as we go along. And you think that that is your audience because you were already serving them. You can go into that post that they did and see those 20 people that liked it and just pick 5 of those 20 and click on follow them. And then they will come back to your page and see all the stuff that you're selling. And that's going to help you get some organic traffic as well to your listing. So I'm just saying there's so many different ways to gain more organic traffic.
So like I said, there's not just one way to do this thing. You can find what works best for you, what energizes you, and then be consistent in that. It's going to work out. Yeah.
Because there's money out there. It's just waiting for you to find. It's waiting to find its way home to your pocketbook. It's lost out there and it's waiting for you to go get it. It's like, please send me a homing signal to come to your house and drop and stay there and move in. You want those dollars to move into your house, not somebody else's house. So, all right. Well, I think this was just a huge blessing. I know we could talk about outsourcing all day long because I think, let me see if I can sweet talk these 2 to come back and do an outsourcing. Do an outsourcing session just so we only talk about outsourcing. That's all. I know that we have an outsourcing session within our, training series that we're going to be talking about, and we're working on some outsourcing stuff on our side. But I'd love to have these guys come back and do an outsourcing session with us, so maybe we can sweet talk them into that. Well, here we go. Maybe we'll send them something, a print on demand, and bribe them.
Well, let's get this cruise going. That's what I'm super amped up about. How do we do this? I don't want to put on an event by myself, but I know you put on a lot of events, so we can work something.
Oh, I've done so many. So I'm going to unmute everybody, and you are allowed to, although evidently Christina is showing herself again. Every time I click on allow talk, it goes to try to show your camera. So if I don't know what's happening. But anyway, if you guys have questions, I'm going to shut up because I'm going to go make sure James Brown and Rick James are asleep, or at least in the bed.
I have another question. Thanks for answering all those questions. This is Val in Vegas. One of my questions is, no, I just forgot it. Oh, no, you guys mentioned helping us. So if we want to get started and we want to use those services you provide, like
daily flight,
and then the keyword package. What do you think using both of those, how much does that eat into our overhead? Because I think if we do merch, we only make like $7 a shirt. What would you estimate that it costs per listing for us to use such a service? Because I like the idea of that, especially to get going, to ramp up really fast for Q4.
Nathaniel, maybe you can answer this a little better. I just want to chime into, like, it depends how you use the information that you're getting. And we haven't
talked about split testing in this group, and that's something that we highly suggest with those packs is split testing. I don't know if that makes it easier for you to talk about what you want to say, Steve.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, say you pay for the art and you pay for the keywords, and that you've gotten each listing core down to, say, $5.
Yes.
Once you start split testing, so you make 5 listings out of that, you're down to $1 per one of those listings. So it's, I don't know, it's hard to like say. If you're just using the one-offs for one-offs, it's not going to be cost effective on merch to do that.
Right.
Because you're leaving so much information on the table. That's why we say, like, understand your customers. We're going to give you like the customer information, and then what you do with that is you want to like get that in front of the customer as many places as possible. Some of the people that use the higher end service where we give you both the keywords and the listings, they're paying $500 for that information. They're using it in Shopify. They're using it in like all different kind of places. It's making them money and it's speeding up their process. So they just use our system and then just implement it and make the listings. And that's the only thing they have to worry about. And then they can either make slight variations or put it on different products, because even if it's just on merch and you're making 5 different listings from that piece of art, then you make it across the 15 different products that you have, then you're cutting your listings down to like 10, 20 cents. So it's, if you only have 10 slots, then it's going to be very difficult to use a system like that. That's why we say you kind of need a system or a process being to be able to take all this information in.
Okay. I see what
you're something to help people just get started. I'm not sure.
I see what you're saying. And then to follow up on something else you said, and you said it just now again, when we find something that's working, you said get it off of Amazon and move it off of there. So are you thinking move it off onto, is it Shopify or just any of the other platforms that we talked about last week?
I'll quickly answer this, and then I think Nathaniel wants to answer the very first question that you had again.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
When we say take it off Amazon, we're not pulling the listings down. We leave those listings up. We're just trying to get what we call double down. We're trying to get more out of that information. So now that we understand the customers on Amazon, we then go do additional research to find out where they're at. Do they purchase on Shopify? It's a little harder to do that because you don't get like all the analytics necessarily, but you can at least do some preliminary research and kind of see what's working. If there's a store that's up and they've sold out of a lot of things, that's a clear indicator that, hey, maybe I should move this over to Shopify because I have very similar things. I kind of know this customer a little bit better as far as the art is concerned because I've been testing out thousands of listings over here. They have kind of whack designs and I know I can do much better than them. Then you set up on Shopify. It might be Etsy, it might be Printful, it might be some other integration. It just depends on each customer. That's why we say, like, if you understand the customer, then just follow that customer. Or if you really like making books, then make that your platform and then do all these partnership deals, understand how to sell books. You can do the no-love content. You can do a lot of different things within each platform. That's why we like POD is such a wide thing. That's why we like, where are you and where are you stuck? And then we'll answer that question there. But I know some of these answers that I'm giving you is like overwhelming. I apologize for that. That's why I'm trying to.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I'm following you.
That's what I was gonna say though. Like, I love teaching to like smaller groups or big groups or whatever, and doing the in-person stuff. But like, really, what makes me happiest is doing, more personalized help. And so I don't want to throw Stephen completely under the bus here, but if this is something that you seriously want to take action on, as soon as possible, we can set up a call and just talk, for 20 minutes and just figure out what would be best for you and how our services can help you. I mean, we're always looking for ways to, find new ways to help people. So maybe by helping you, we understand, oh, here's, a package that we can put together that would be helpful for this person in this situation. And so that's how I work best. I think it's from traveling around so much and just like actually sitting down with people in their living rooms and like helping them work through this thing. That's just kind of the way my brain is wired right now. So if that's something you want to do, message me and we'll figure out a time to, talk about this. And, we want you guys to take action on this. And we think those services are great, but they're only for certain people in certain situations. We don't think everybody is ready to spend $500 for listings that you don't properly know how to use. And that's what we want to avoid. And so that's why we don't have we kind of had standardized pricing, but we're always willing to work with people to kind of figure out, is this going to work for you? Are you going to be able to take advantage of this and make sure that, we want to keep this thing low to no cost. But if you're at a place where you can spend a little bit of money to jumpstart what you're doing and use our experience and our teams, then we want to, provide that as an option as well. So definitely shoot me a message. We can talk more about this if we get to jump on a call. That'd be great. It's kind of depending on Steven's schedule. I guess I could do it by myself as well, but that's something that I have to find a better way to handle, but I think that's more the direction that I'm going, is like, let's sit down, let's talk about how this will work personally for you, and when you're ready to, take advantage of some of the services that we offer.
I guess the last thing I'll say is the services that we're offering here is not something that we talk about anywhere. It's only like from meeting face to face that we offer these services. We're offering it to Nicole and her group because we kind of see that there's a need here. So if you are just starting out and you only have 10 tiers, I wouldn't say like, oh, what you need is this $500 package. There's no need for that. That's why, like Tino said, it's kind of a catered system how we have it. But knowing that you're going into Q4, maybe there's a package that I could put together that's like Q4 and then only allow 20 people to tap into that package. And here's all the landing zones, here are all the keywords, and then you create the art. So there's no like competitiveness in it. That might be something that we could come up with. We don't have something like that right now. It was like, oh, here's a Christmas package, and then we can push it towards. We just like to hear where are the pain points, where are people struggling, because we really want to have you guys find success. We don't want you charging you guys $5 to $10 per listing if you're only able to take that piece of art and that piece of keyword and use it once, because it's not. That's not how you should be using it. You should be getting the most out of it. People that
kind of have to know
or more have a system that can handle that.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm brand new. I mean, I'm still waiting for my merch account.
But so what you need is this $500 package.
Yeah, and you just dump that thing, shoot me out the cannon into $6,000 Q4 appeal. I need a strategy. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That's I think why we spend so much time answering questions, and just like we're trying to see the bigger need so that we can cater stuff to you guys. And then I think what me and Nathaniel find the best is doing a lot more one-on-one. It's kind of hard to do, especially with everything else that we have going on. But Nathaniel now is centrally located, so he's now willing to start that back up and just jumping on some calls just to see how we can help people. If you are just starting out and you're looking to not do all the research, there's probably some solution that we can figure out, but there's not one that I'm be able to go, oh, this is exactly, we have the perfect fit for you. It's we don't operate like that, I guess, not yet, at least. Maybe with Nicole's help, she'll be able to go, hey, this is a system that you can put together, and this is a package. And
I think it's as individual as the customers that you're saying we would partner with, everybody's situation is different. So,
yeah.
If you have an influencer and you like setting up a Redbubble, like Nathaniel could definitely walk you through that and then go, this is how you set up the deal. This is how, like, that's all stuff that we've done countless of times. And we want to be able to like do that to more people and help more people, because it is something that me and Nathaniel love the most about this business is the partnering of it. And I think that's why we like teaching now, is because there's a lot of partnership opportunities in this teaching business. Somebody like Nicole, we probably would have never been able to work with if it was like, oh, we have a POD business, so let's work with Nicole. Like it's because we teach, we do a lot of other things. That's why our network is growing. And then we're just trying to see the opportunities and then be able to help more people and serve more people. It is a calling that's on my heart, is to serve and help people. It's just finding out how the best to do that. And now finally going on vacation with my wife and just realizing like, oh, I've taken a lot of time away from her. I need to spend a lot more time with my wife and just finding a balance again in what we're doing.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful.
Let me call my wife in it.
She's like, are you still on that computer in there? Is it time to go to bed? I'm like, I'm sorry, Nicole.
If you have time, Nicole, watch some of those videos that are on my Facebook feed. I
did see some of them.
Oh, it's so funny.
All right. Well, I hope this is an immense blessing to everybody who actually joined in today, and those that are going to be catching the replay. We really, really, really want you to be massively successful. You can slice and dice this any way you want, whatever way works best for you, your family's lifestyle, the niche that that you really know well. I mean, there's probably a niche for single mothers who have children with disabilities. I mean,
single mothers walking dogs on the beach in Florida. Like the smaller the niche, the better it is, even though it sounds crazy. That's why I think Nathaniel really had that success, was just Florida, St. Pete riding trail is so small of a market, but he was able to tap into it and really explode this idea. So even if you go, oh, there's probably only 100 people, those are the 100 people that you want as your customers, because they're going to be super passionate and they're going to buy up almost everything that you offer them. And that's when your conversions are going to be like 100%, because nobody is catering anything to them. And you have a very specific way of going to do that, because you don't have to go out and buy 10,000 units from China. You can have an idea and then just launch that idea.
Do print on demand, yeah. And Peter Prue actually talked about that as well. That's another one that I love. I love listening to him because he did the whole fishing niche, and he did the specific fishing niche where you're looking for lure that you do fly fishing and you're looking for a specific lure. And he's like, I made my first $1 million doing that. Hello?
Get away from competition. Get away from competition. And, yes.
Yeah, he did funnels with that. So, okay, well, I guess we're going to wrap it up because these gentlemen have to get back to their lives. It's 11:27 for them.
I'm taking tomorrow off.
On vacation, comes back, works 2 days, goes back on. I'm off.
That's not true. I guess my mom wants to do some more KDP stuff, so I'm doing that at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I lied. Me and the data won't be working together. I'm taking the data a break from the data.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. You have been such a blessing. You and I are the three of us are going to talk offline anyway. And we're going to put some stuff together. They do have some more stuff coming, guys. Just sharing in general.
And we're doing a cruise next year. I'm saying it right here, right now.
Well, I've already announced it, but yes, we're doing a cruise next year.
Oh, you did announce it? Oh, I thought I was going to break the news.
No. I waved like in the middle of the summit, like where we were broadcasting. I did a post and I was like, if we did a cruise, who would want to go?
I didn't know it was public. I was breaking the news right now. I didn't care. Because after getting off that cruise, I was like, we're going to make this happen. Period. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, so me and Steven are going to work on this whole cruise thing. And maybe on the cruise, we'll build some funnels or something. I don't think we're going to get a strong enough internet connection out in the middle of the sea because I tried that already. The internet connection was horrible. But it was horrible. But I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that we will be able to do. People will be able to come back and crush it. Maybe we do.
I think it's another reason why I like the cruise because what I think the most important part of going to any conference or anything is the networking. And especially if you're on a boat and there is no internet, it forces you to network. So even if you're a very introverted person, it makes you get those connections. And I think that is the thing that truly takes your business to the next level. Anything else that has helped me has been like the relationship with my brother. That has taken my business to a whole nother level. Relationships with Ryan, Danny, Jim Cocker, like all of these people have been able to really catapult my business to levels that I would never have even thought of. Even Nicole sharing like, oh, you can start a Facebook, like all of those little bits of information might not help you right now because you're just getting started. But then when you are a year ahead of where you're at right now and you go, oh, I remember Nicole said this. Let me reach out to Nicole and then she can pour back into you. That's gold. That's where like your business really starts to take off. And I think that's why I'm super amped up about the cruise because it's like, okay, this is perfect for me. We get to teach them. They don't get to run away. I get to talk to them 2 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the morning. You ain't going to escape. And we get to build a relationship. And I think that's the true thing that takes everybody's business to another level. I don't know of anybody that's in business that it goes, relationships are overrated. That's everybody's number one thing is the relationships.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Those of you who came to our physical events, and we had them in Houston or we had them in Dallas, we had a great time. And it was a connection. We always had a party too, just so you guys know. Y'all missed out on a lot when you didn't know.
Are you doing one in November?
I am not doing one. I mean, I am doing a second Saturday. I'm going to do my second Saturday on October, and I'm going to do it in November. But we are going to have an actual event next year, a physical event. But we are going to have a physical event next year. But we're going to have our regular second Saturday shop where we take people out and do some brainstorming. We're going to talk about Q4. We're going to talk about bundles, and we're going to talk about reverse sourcing. So
if we don't go on another cruise, I might come out to that Texas event.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's definitely next year's is definitely going to be in Texas. And, I'm hoping we'll have at least 100 people show up. And on that one next year, it's going to be amazing because our goal is we're actually going to have people we're going to work with them to do the wholesaling and find their wholesale provider, apply with that wholesale provider. We're going to do all of that work next year. And then
that's what me and Nathaniel like is the actual workshops, like sit down, set up your computer. Let's actually make some listings and show you how to do
Let's make some listings. Let's create some listings from scratch. Let's make some bundles. So we're going to have a hardcore 3-day, we're going to do a bunch of work. So we're going to help them with wholesale. We're going to do, if they want to work on funnels, we'll probably create at least one funnel, but we'll start with the wholesale thing. So it's going to be a nice event next year. And that's what I'm planning out for next year, in addition to the summits. So I mean, a lot of people, they're going to be like, oh my God, I left this event and all my stuff was set up. Woohoo! All my stuff was set up. My funnel was set up. My bundles were done. My this was done. I already got this. I already ordered my inventory. Like everything is done. Like, yeah.
That's what we liked about going to some of those presentations, just sitting down with people and being like, oh, I don't have a merch account, or I have a merch account, I haven't done anything with it. And they leave with like 100 listings up there. Like, oh, that was so easy. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I love those. So you guys will have to come out and do some print on demand or something. Maybe do a half a day of print on demand, and let's just work it out. We'll put you into the rotation. Say, okay, next up, the Hibbert brothers. Here we go. Get your clappers together. We'll do some print on demand. We call it, what is it, trinkets and trash? You know, the whole party favors. The little hand thing.
That'll be wingman hands. We'll be private label and all that stuff.
There you go. You got to label it wingman, and everybody be like, oh, here they come. Get your So anyway, that'll be a lot of fun. All right. Well, we're going to shut this down because we could go all night. That they are amazing. We will see you all next week. Celia is going to be the trainer, and then the following week I am the trainer. So I get to train twice. Thank you, guys. And
thank you.
I appreciate you. This is going to be an awesome recording. We'll see you later.
Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.